Perea, Sandy Lodge number 72, Grand Lodge in New Mexico. Go ahead, Jeff.
How's everybody doing out there? Hope everybody's doing fine. I'm known as Jay Russ for Sandy Mountain number 72. It's always a joy and a pleasure to be a part of this once again. I'm super excited, here because we have some great people standing on my right, all the way down to the guy down there in the hat with his shirt on, to be one, ask one. I think that's what your shirt said, correct?
It is.
Awesome. Next to me right here, we have Leon, and we have John Keel, where we're going to ask them to introduce themselves here shortly. But we're just going to start with Leon. Leon, go ahead and introduce yourself.
I'm Leon Already. I'm a Master Mason at Sandoval 76, past master. Been in a long time.
Wait, when you say past master, what do you mean by that?
I've served through the line and the head of the lodge, past master of the lodge.
Well, the reason why I asked is, right, we know what it means, the terminology, but those individuals out there in the YouTube world, Facebook, TikTok, social media might not know.
So the master of a lodge is like the president of a company. We take turns and transfer authority and transfer leadership over once a year in Masonry, New Mexico. And my year was 2018.
Nice. And the next person is Mr. John.
Yeah, I'm the master of Sandoval 76, and actually known this guy for a long time, known both of these brothers for quite a while, and been in quite a few different things and quite around quite a few things in the fraternity. So.
Well, once again, I got to ask, right, when you said you was a master, I thought everybody was Master Masons, but are you like a separate master, or are you, like, what do you mean by master?
I'm currently the master of the lodge for this year for Sandoval 76.
Okay, so basically what you're trying to tell everybody out there is, right, you're actually in charge of your lodge.
Yeah, so to speak, I see it more as a service position. Yeah.
Okay, excellent. No, because the reason why I say that is we deal with so many people on TikTok and social media, and how they actually present themselves a lot of times is frustrating.
Our language is so normal to us. We say these things in all these acronyms and letters and forget that they don't understand.
That is true. Another thing too is how, right, because we use the letters and acronyms, according to them, it's all about based upon position. And so they always say, well, you're not high enough up in masonry to know anything.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah, and that's the thing that vexes me the most. Is like, well, what do you mean by we're not high enough up? And so if anybody out there can address that and just type something into the live stream to ask that particular question, like, what do you mean when y'all say, hey, these individual people are not high enough? Because I want to know what that means. Because everybody at this table can definitely say
that they don't understand what they're talking about.
Exactly. Because no matter what we say, there's nothing higher than a what? Master Mason. There's nothing higher than that. So it doesn't matter what type of if you're in the Scottish Rite, the 32nd degree, 33rd degree, Scottish Rite Masons, a nice Templar commandery, all of that stuff, is great to actually be in. However, right, there's nothing higher than a Master Mason, period. 3rd degree Master Mason, which all of us are. But one of the things I would just want to ask John, what was it about Masonry that actually pulled you into it?
A little bit of the history, quite a bit of the fraternity. I enjoy the fellowship. I enjoy the brotherhood. You get to be around good men of all different walks of life, from all different backgrounds. I would say that just in the years that I've been a Mason, I've gotten to meet so many diverse men from around the world, and it's just a wonderful treat to meet people, and again to know that because they're a Mason, that they're a good person and that you can trust them from the very beginning, and then the historical aspects. I'm a proud American. I really do love this country and the history that helped found this country, and the principles which you know, of justice and liberty and all of those things, which were very much founded by, in part, in a small part, by some of our brethren.
Oh man.
What was your journey to become a Mason?
Oh gosh. Well, it's funny. Everybody thinks that. Everybody thinks, oh, you got to have a family connection. As far as I knew, I actually had no family connections to Masonry before I became a Mason.
Me too.
And well, as far as I knew. So
Well, you know what's funny? I'm
I
glad
found that out.
I'm glad you brought that up because so many people like who don't know what they're talking about, they think you have to have a bloodline to be a Freemason, and it's like no, you don't. You really don't because I'm a first gen Mason. I mean that nobody in my family. Yeah,
Me too.
yeah.
Yeah, well, and I didn't think I did. So
okay.
I actually had a roommate.
Oh, see, there we go. See, oh man, you're adding it to the conspiracy now.
No, so I had a roommate years ago that was a Mason, and he had told me about it, and I thought it was fascinating. And of course, you know, you see things like, you know, on TV shows, you see the Masons or similar things to the Masons portrayed, and so it's always kind of an interesting thing, like what really is that? And so I learned a lot from my roommate, but it wasn't time for me yet. And so a little bit later, I started interacting with a couple Masons,
Alec.
and well, Alec originally, and then with Sandoval Lodge later on, teaching classes. And so once I did that, I finally asked the question one day. We were doing a course, and we renewed that. And I just asked the question. I said, "So, what does it mean to be a Master Mason? What's all this about? What's it really about?" And
They
as
gave you the
as
secrets?
yeah, well, yeah, right. So, no, so they you know, the two brothers I was with, they said, "Oh man, you know, it's about being a good man. It's about you know, fraternity and fellowship." And I said, "Well, I think there's a lot of history there, right?" And they said, "Yeah." And so that's always fascinated me, but it got my attention. So I started asking more questions, and inevitably I petitioned the lodge. And so it's been a great journey. But what's really funny is I called my mom the night that I was initiated, and I said, "Mom, don't laugh. I was initiated into Freemasonry tonight." And she starts laughing. So I'm like, "Oh, great. Here come all the conspiracy theories and everything else." And she says, "John, I was in Job's Daughters and and she says, and your grandfather and your great-grandfather were both Master Masons."
Oh man.
But of course, that's from a time when nobody would talk about
Sure.
it.
Yes,
You know,
yes,
so,
yes.
so come to find out, I've actually followed in the steps of my grandfather, because a couple of years ago I was able to get a couple things from my mom that were his. And you know, it turns out he followed, you know, he went into York Rite, he went into the Shrine, and some of those other wonderful areas that we've joined. And,
Yeah.
it's been a great journey.
And Job's Daughters required back then a Masonic lineage.
So yeah, it was, so that was kind of funny. I thought it was hilarious.
Yeah, he went from, oh, there's no blood. Oh, wait a minute, hold on.
Everybody.
Yeah, he was like, I had some family members, you know, associated with Masonry. Yeah. You know, yes, yeah, I had some family members associated. So, yeah, you know, I mean, I like that particular story because, right, we all have our own journey. You know, right, we all have not only just our own journey, but our own why. And that's the thing that I like about it is like, why did you do this? You know, and everybody has that, you know, and the beautiful part about that is can't nobody speak on nobody else's why. So when people ask you, you know, right, because the reason why I say that is out here on social media, a lot of people will say Masons, you know, and they do all inclusive, which I don't like all inclusive. I believe that, hey, everything is individualized. And right, when people on social media talk, they need to talk individualizing. However, they don't, you know, and it's a sad situation, right, based upon that. Next, right, we have my good friend. Are you a good friend?
You're not late on my payments. Keep up those friend payments. You got it covered.
Yeah, I say I got to keep my friend payments. Okay, yeah, I think the next one's due next week. Yeah, next week. No, we have my friend here, Leon. Leon, just talk to us about your walk in masonry.
I joined through the youth group way. So in 1973, in the 70s
Damn.
we moved across. Yeah.
73.
Yeah.
Woo,
I
woo.
was 1 year old, and we had some young men I grew up with. They had started this. His father was a Mason. Their mother was a Eastern Star, and they invited me to join this youth group called D. Malay. And I went to a bowling party, met all kinds of cool people, and I'd always wanted to join something. My parents were always finding reasons why I couldn't be a Boy Scout or couldn't go to this or that. And this time, the mom had sold it to them so well that I was able to join this. And I found out that I had a real knack for the ritual and memorizing and just everything that went along with it. And so I was almost 16 years old and just to change my life. And I have lifetime friends from all those years. In fact, when I'm trying to sell D. Malay and things like this, I talk about my parents' funerals. And the last two funerals, I buried my mom 2 years ago, my dad last year. But I've had at those funerals around 15 friends and their spouses that I've known for 50 years.
Wow.
That came to this, that were Job's Daughters, D. Malays, Rainbows, and come to those things. And that's probably the greatest thing that I can sell about this thing is the lifetime friendship.
Support.
From just we've traveled and, we visited each other growing up. I mean, I had a buddy that was an air traffic controller. I went to Santa Barbara there. But then, of course, I've also done funerals for the young man who got me in and his brother. And I've been godfather. I've been in weddings. And we've shared each other's lives. And we still continue to keep up with each other. Now we got this Facebook thing so we can keep up with their grandkids and stuff like that. So, yeah, it's lifetime friendships I've gotten from this.
Wow.
So Godfather, does that mean I can ask you for a favor? And
Someday, I'm going to come back.
TikTok will run with that. Be careful.
No.
Like mafia bound.
The new term is Freemason Mafia, and I'm like, what?
Yeah.
It's so wild to me. I'm like,
it-
oh,
it- it
my
is.
God.
It is crazy. Just all the things we have to
Yeah.
to listen to sometimes. It's just like, oh my God, they know so little.
Yeah.
Or I don't know what they're reading or what they're seeing or what's popping up in their heads. And it's like, in all my years in there, I've never seen any of these things that they're talking about. I wish I was invited to these meetings where we're going to take over the world. I've been around long enough. It would seem like I would be a natural guy to ask.
Yeah.
No,
there's times where it's so hard just to approve the meeting minutes. Like, I would love to see what would happen if we actually were trying to do something, globally. That would be hilarious because there would be like 5 past masters arguing over whether we need a committee or the proper budget or
bylaws.
And that's yeah, right. Is it in the bylaws? Do we have a
And the budget over nothing. You know what I mean? Over nothing.
Right,
You're
right,
like, okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, first we need a committee to explore the option of,
A committee for the committee.
I told this story once before on one of the other podcasts, but my son, I told him I just gotten my EA, and I said, I'm becoming a Freemason. I'm becoming a Master Mason. I'm already a Mason, but I'm not a Master Mason. So right away, I see him run to his room, and he loves to research, and he loves to dive deep into things. And I had told him, I said, yeah, there's these rumors and blah, blah, blah. And he comes out with this big old smile, probably 4 hours later, 6 hours later. And hell, it might have been the next day. This was years ago. And what have I been a Master Mason for? 3 years. So it was around 3-ish years ago. He comes out and he's like, check this out. It says, he pulls out this video of Freemasons. We're all living on a dish of a flat earth.
Oh, I've heard this.
and there's a wall. And we
The
live
ice wall. The ice wall.
We all live on the ice wall, and we're shot calling the world's the world's events from this ice wall. And he's like, well, you're becoming a Mason. I guess we're gonna have to move to the ice wall.
Oh my goodness.
But yeah, and then he was like, yeah. And then he
Oh,
said,
no, that sounds cold.
yeah, no. And then he said, I was walking out one day, and I think it was for my master, and I said, oh, today's the day, bud. He's like, coming to Master Mason? I was like, yep. He's like, so what country do you think they're gonna give you? I said, well, they told me Paraguay and Uruguay. They're starting me off small, but and
Right.
he started busting out laughing, but it was hilarious. Yeah.
So, and Leon probably remembers this. When I was made an EA, you're given an opportunity after the degree to say something to the lodge, and I think I made the joke that, well, I'd like to be enrolled in the presidential plan, please. And of course, everybody had a laugh, but no, actually, it's fun. Just it's fun to see some of the conspiracy theories out there, and
Yeah.
and it's just it's interesting because I think as entertaining as our fraternity is, and as wonderful as it is to spend time with you all, there's just not enough time to do anything else.
We
Yeah.
live in a world with so much information, but it seems
Yeah.
like so much misinformation.
Oh, yeah.
It's greater
Well-
than the real information.
Well, here's the thing: is a conspiracy theory is so juicy and fun. You know what I mean? It's
wouldn't be
it's
fu-
tangible.
yeah.
They can kind of work with it, and
We're way more
there's this.
boring than they think we are.
If they sat in a meeting,
Sit in one of his meetings. Bro. You'll know.
Oh,
I get to sit outside and not listen.
how many of the older folks? How many of the
You're outside. You don't get to see how awesome the meetings really are.
how many older folks you see the old schoolers who come in, and they're just and you hear them because it's just I've seen many people fall asleep in lodge because it's just like sometimes it just you're tired, it gets a little boring. Sometimes it's like
That or they look like those Muppets, old men on the balcony
I love that.
commenting and saying things, and I just go,
Oh, that's
Or-
right. That's
or-
why I sent that. That's why I sent that to the lodge when we were getting ready for the installation. It was the two old guys.
Yeah.
And, says, well, hey, this new officer line doesn't look half bad. Yeah, you're right. They're all bad.
or you're in there like a newborn baby. You can't even hold your head up. You're just like, oh my god, like this is awful. But yeah, it gets really really boring. If it was that juicy, man, I mean, I wish it was that that exciting. But a lot of masonry is very boring. But it's the good with the bad. It's
Well,
it's just
we
the way it
gotta
is.
do business.
Sure,
We've gotta take
absolutely.
care of the lodge bills. Get charity work done.
Yeah.
You've got a lot going on in the lodge and activities. We had a past masters night. We honored our past masters recently. That was a blast, and got to see some brothers we haven't seen in a long time.
Sure.
Actually, and that kind of goes back to the other thing. If there was really all this juiciness going on behind the scenes, I mean, you'd think a lot more brothers would show up to lodge, right?
Well, because you got some. I mean, for those out there who don't know, you got some who will become a master mason. You won't see them for years, but they're paying dues because they did what they wanted to do, and whether it wasn't quite for them now, or they just wanted to become a master mason, or
still see the
there's
value.
all walks of life when it comes to that as well. Sometimes you'll see them. They became a master mason. They're paying dues, and I've heard of from other lodges. They're like, yeah, this brother didn't come in for 5 years straight, and now he's got all this time. He just got a divorce, or something changed in his life to where he's like, okay, he kept it as a backup, and now he's moving back
kids
in.
Are grown up.
Exa-
They moved
kids
on
are
to
moving-
college,
yeah.
I've
Kids
seen
are
that.
at-
All
Yeah.
walks of life.
I joined a Blue Lodge in 1979, and and then I tried to, and then I
No, we're not kidding.
I
Like,
moved
ooh.
away, and I stopped in 1988, and well, I was in Arizona. I really didn't have time to do any lodge, and I was there for 20-some years, and I came back. I think I let my lodge dues fail about 82 or something like that, and came back in 2012.
Wow. Okay.
And
Just in time.
and
for the Mayan
and, and the way I
apocalypse.
came back was I saw I was looking at my fantasy football thing, and look at the news, checking. I didn't have a computer then, a fancy phone, and I was just looking at the stats, and next to the stats was the obituaries, and one of my old advisors had passed away, and so I had the time off. I said, well, let me go pay my,
Your respects, yeah.
respects to him, and I get there, and there was a bunch of guys I grew up with and girls. I was like, we were giggling like little kids again.
Yeah.
Talking about, remember when we did this? Still whispering of all the dumb things we did when we were young. And
So you
and-
started in Demole?
yeah.
How much has it changed from then to now?
Yeah, I was going to ask you some questions about
Yeah.
Demolay.
The amount of people, the amount of membership is gone. When I was state master counselor in 1978, which is the equivalent of a grad, I was the head of the state, #1 young man
In the 1900s?
in the 1930s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
We there were 21 chapters here, and we'd been up to 27 at one time.
Wow. Okay.
But I had 21 chapters. I had 2,000 DMLAs
Whoa.
at that time. I mean, on the books.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Job's Daughters had about 800 girls, and Rainbow had about 5,000.
Wow.
And they had about almost 50 Jobies, and about 12 Jobies, Bethels, and about 50 Rainbow Assemblies.
Yeah.
And when I came back, I went to it happened to be the conclave, the state convention, and I got in there, and there's a handful in the whole state. Albuquerque actually had 4 chapters, and they combined into one, and the rest of the state was shut down, except for Farmington was kind of going.
Yeah.
And so I went from 2,000. My grand banquet when I was the head had almost 500 people at it,
Wow.
and went to their grand banquet and they had 50, and that kind of hurt me, and I was kind of semi-retired, so I said, well, I think I can help out. Talked to this gentleman by the name of Wes Thornton, who's done everything in masonry.
Sure.
And said, I think I can help out. I said, I'm going to give you my 2-year notice. I'm not going to stick around. I'll help you out for a couple of years.
Sure.
And he laughed. And now I know why he laughed, because 14 years, 15 years later, I'm still here. And I took his job over eventually now. And, yeah, it's the amount of, the membership is just, and it's like that in all our fraternity.
Real quick, that's just a whole. I just wanted a real quick side note is so I just closed on a property in Chama, a second property. It's right by Brazos River. Gorgeous fishing. You guys are both welcome if you want to come out and stay the night and go fishing.
Oh yeah.
Best fishing, but my realtor, I was like, yeah, I said, blah, blah, blah. She said, okay. I said, well, I got to go. I said, I got to go cook for the shrine tonight. She said, you're a Shriner? And I'm like, yeah. She said, you're a Freemason? I said, yeah. She said, I was a Rainbow Girl. And I'm like, no way.
Yeah.
And she's like, yeah, my dad was a Shriner clown. I said, no way. That's crazy. She's like, yeah, my dad was a Shriner clown. She's like, well, so it just, when you had said you'd went to that, I think it was a funeral, and you'd seen all your old friends.
Yeah.
Like, she took extra good care of me. She went above and beyond, I feel, because she knew I was a Mason. You know what I mean? So she was like, she really made phone calls she didn't have to make as a realtor. She really did, she went the extra mile for me.
So you was plugged in, huh?
The mafia, I guess.
So that's some of the things that I have really enjoyed about the fraternity is since becoming a Mason, in particular, the night I was brought into the shrine, I told a couple of friends of mine, my friend and his wife, and when I told them, she immediately broke down crying. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what's going on? And,
Yeah.
And she told me this story that her cousin had been badly burned as a child, And while their insurance
Shriner baby.
while their insurance had covered the life-saving measures, the plastic
scarring,
surgery, the
yeah.
scarring, everything that had happened, was not covered by insurance.
Sure.
And so so the Shrine actually took her in, gave her the surgery that she needed to actually return
Beautiful.
to a normal life. And she gave me this huge hug, and I've had that experience repeatedly over and over again since I've been a Shriner, and it's just it's amazing feeling to know the things that we've helped with. I mean, our lodge has a school for children with learning disabilities. We
Yeah.
do. We actually have one of the only programs that is certified by the Department of Education to help kids with dyslexia to learn to read.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because again, somebody learning that I was a Mason, through work, she said, "Oh, you're a Mason." Well, my kid went through the Masonic School for Children with Learning Disabilities and learned how to
Wow.
read, and I thought he would never be able to read and never be able to graduate high school. And because he went through this program, not only was he able to read, but he graduated high
Beautiful.
school with a pretty high GPA and was able to go to college because
It
of
works.
it.
The program works.
It does. And it's an amazing program, but it's just one facet, and it's one of the things that really drives me in Masonry. I mean, I
Sure.
love the history, I love the fraternity,
And
but
a
that's
lot
a big
of
one.
our groups have youth. We take care of the youth. We got the Eye Foundations. We got this and that and this and that.
Oh, yeah.
So I had a young man. Where El Dorado is, high school.
Sure.
He wanted to be a Mason, and he wheeled down to Temple 6 on Osuna to ask to become a Mason.
Wheeled down? Why do you?
He's wheelchair.
Okay.
He's in a
I was
wheelchair.
just making sure. We got a Shriner baby as a master mason in the lodge, right? In our lodge. Yeah, I was just
We got
making.
several.
Yeah. No, I'm just saying. Go ahead.
But he wheeled down there, and the secretary there, Tony, he said, "Well, you need to contact Leon. You're too young. I think he was 16 at the
Oh wow,
time."
so he's a youngster. Okay.
So he comes to me, and I go, "What's wrong?" And
He didn't wheel down from El Dorado, did he?
He did,
Well, it's all downhill, but still.
but still,
Yeah.
This is that impressed me more than anything.
Yeah.
And he came to see me, and I talked to him, and asked him about his why he's in a wheelchair, and apparently it's something his grandfather had was in Vietnam, had Agent Orange, and apparently it goes down to his dad is in a wheelchair, and he's in a wheelchair, his brother
Wow.
isn't.
Okay.
And so I said, well, you know what? I think we can help you out, and I got him hooked up because he was just aging out, so he couldn't go to the Shrine.
Sure.
And we got him into California, and they worked on him. They stretched out the tendons and whatever they did, and all that stuff. And he moved through the line and became master counselor. And when it came for him to take his obligation and the stuff and get to the altar to the east,
Yeah.
he got out of the chair, knelt down, and he walked to the east. He said, "I'm going to walk to the east." He had to bend over. He had his little cane, but he got out of the chair. And even about a year later, doing all the stuff, he said, "Dad, Leon, come here." And he said, "You got to check out my calves." I go, "Okay." He goes, "I've never had muscles there before. I've never had a muscle in my leg ever." And it was just like, wow. And it was moving, and his brother became an incredible DMLA, but we've had so many, club-footed, Lance Hale's son was one, and I met lots of Masons that were Shrine children.
Beautiful. Yeah, it's such a beautiful thing. It's yeah. You gonna say something, Jeff?
Oh no, I'm just listening to the stories.
They're
I'm
great
just-
stories.
I got lots of them.
Yeah, I'm just sitting back listening to the stories because that's one of the things that people on social media don't get to hear. They don't get to hear the good that we do. They don't get to hear about the Shrine, the Shriners Hospital, and how they actually help out the kids to where they don't even have to pay anything. And a lot of times, if their parents travel with them, their parents are free room and board as well.
Yeah. I'm so glad you mentioned that. Like how much they pay Like they put the parents up, just like you said. I mean, it's a beautiful thing all the way across the board.
Yeah, and I think here in this state that we're in, I think that we're responsible for transportation. So right, we actually pay for the transportation from individuals from Mexico or within this region to a Shriner hospital.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that, right, when we talk about the charity work that we do, that's what we're actually talking about. Can you imagine, living in Mexico or in this region where the nearest Shriner hospital is about 500 to 1,000 miles away from where you're at, and yet the mom or the parent don't have to worry about the transportation, where they could just solely focus on their kids, solely focus on their situation, on trying to get their child feeling better. So now we alleviated the stresses or the stressors from transportation, housing, in some aspect food as well. And what better way for the parents can actually sit back and say, you know what, my kids are going to get the best care, that in the world here in state of the art care here in America, and we don't even have to pay for anything. Man, that's a great feeling to actually have.
Yeah.
As a parent, because I could just only imagine if something was to happen to my kids, and now there's something there that can help them out.
Well, especially because you can have some of the best insurance, but what folks don't understand is, like, even with the best insurance, there's caps on that shit. You know what I
Doesn't
mean?
mean you're getting the best care.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
That's the difference
but
between
even once you-
insurance and care.
So my wife, she had a severe back injury. Well, it wasn't an injury. We didn't know it until it hit. She was 26, 27 when it hit, and it was she had like 4 or 5 different back issues, and it all hit at once. She was in a wheelchair for a few months, and then on a walker for a few months, and all this other stuff. But I thought, I'm with the government. I thought we're good, but we hit the cap, and I'm like, what cap are you talking about? Because I had never hit the cap, but we hit the cap, and I was like, well, what the hell? What do you mean a cap? You know what I mean? Like, I pay this insurance, and I've been paying for years since, and now all of a sudden there's a cap. Well, why doesn't it roll over? I mean, I've been paying into this stuff for 7 years. You know what I mean? Like, I was 7 years into the government. I'm like, but it's a yearly cap. You know what I mean? Like that we just hit. We just so happen to hit. So it's even if you have the best insurance, it's not just, what I'm trying to say is, it's not just like, it's beautiful that the super, what we'll call them poor folk, can get stuff through the Shrine for Children, stuff like that. But even if somebody has really good insurance, they got a cap too. Like it's and once you hit it, it's kind of, you're at the end. Now you're paying out of pocket, and you think insurance is insurance. It's not until you've hit that cap. Then you're like, oh wow, okay, it's
I dealt with that stuff in the past life. I was vice
it's an eye opener.
of a financial service.
Yeah, you're like, it's an eye opener. You're like,
It's-
what? What do you mean? I pay this it's expensive. You know what I mean? But wow.
We used to sell policies that were just hospitalizations. Just take care of you because, guys mainly, we don't have all the plumbing problems that women have.
Sure.
But just make sure you don't take my house when I go to the hospital.
Yeah.
And they don't sell those anymore. They made them illegal, and then
Yeah.
and those are the best things to have. Just make sure my hospital, because my dad and mom were living in hospitals for the last few years of their lives, and
Yeah.
you see those bills, and it's like, you joke about $10 aspirins until you see a $20 aspirin,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
and
Yeah.
and then it's not a joke, and it's like, wow, it's insane.
Yeah, it is. But also, just to go back to what we talked about earlier, because I definitely want to touch back on D. Malay, and because I know, right, I'll just ask this question, man. What is your position in the DeMolay?
I am called the Executive Officer of New Mexico. Each, we have 51 jurisdictions in the United States, and we have a executive officer that runs. California's so big, they're split into two. We have a person that runs each state, and we run under the international. There are 17 countries we're in. Some of them have their own international, but and I'm new to this position, but I am the I handle everything in New Mexico.
Yeah. So now my other question is, right? You said that there's 51. So right, your position that you actually have right now in the DeMolay, there's only 51 people that actually have your position in America.
Yeah. Well, we also have some called personal representative.
Okay.
They're like a EO in training, executive officer in training.
Yeah. Well, the reason why I ask, because I'm trying to feed into the conspiracies, because right, right, when conspiracy theory says that you're not high enough up, hey, he's only 51. And so if you think about it, out of all the states, he's number 51. Well, he's within that parameter of 51. So I don't think that can you get any higher up than that?
And
There are higher. There's the grandmaster.
Yeah. I understand that, but I'm just talking about for these conspiracy
Nothing
theories.
higher in New Mexico.
Correct. Okay,
Nothing
got it.
with all the craziness that's going on in social media today, not only are we trying to, like I said, I wanted to make this to show the brotherhood, fellowship of Masonry, but if we can dispel some rumors along the way, it's a beautiful thing. I mean, so when Jeff says that, it's only because me and him have delved a little deeper than you two on the social media aspect of it, and it's so sad to see the some of the rumors that go around about Masonry.
Get a life.
To be able to dispel some of that, like, there's people who are not going to change their mind. It's just that's not juicy enough what we're saying, and no, that
Just being a DeMolay, the name DeMolay brings up all the.
Man, yes.
Demolay. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. All right.
I mean, the Friday the 13th thing, all the way down.
Yeah, that's right.
Cursing, and Jacques DeMolay actually putting a curse on the king and the Pope.
Yeah.
And they did die within a year of burning him.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. But I mean, even with all that, it's all the DeMolays that I've seen come out. I mean, shoot, James Christopher was a DeMolay, and
One of my pride and joys.
he's great brother. I mean, he was our first guest on our first episode, and I mean, he talked about the love of it and how great it was and this and this and that and that, and so like when you when you go into the social media world, like it's crazy because people will like, especially if let's talk about like a TikTok live or whatever, and if you post that square and compass and you pop it up there and you're like, I have a good brother, Jay of Dayton, who will, he's dispelling rumors, so he'll say question Q&A, and people immediately come in, and I mean they even bring up the swastika, or they'll bring up the Epstein list. Well, he's like, look, there's not one Freemason on the Epstein list, number one. They'll bring up the swastika, but even when you look at the swastika, it was used by the Cherokees. It was the four winds. Like and then when you look at it, like when it went back to India, before Hitler got a hold of all that bullshit, it was a beautiful thing. There's a lot of peace involved in it. Like it was way before Hitler, but he turned it into this.
Well, my understanding is he had an occult thing. He had this idea that he wanted to use these symbols that would bring him fortune and
Sure.
success, right? So
Sure.
So
That-
he adopted symbols. I mean, just
It's the whole reason he was searching for all of the biblical.
right. Yeah,
he-
looking for like the spear. Right?
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
so,
I mean, what is it?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember the name of it.
It's Indiana Jones, dude. It's
Oh gosh.
The Grail?
Oh well,
the Grail, the Holy Grail, and,
and
the
the
other
Ark,
one, the
the Ark
Ark,
of the
the Ark of the
Covenant.
Covenant. Thank
Right.
you. Yeah. So,
So-
he was just trying to find power, and then he went into the whole alien portion of it too. Like, and he crashed alien
Looking at
ships.
the occult
He was
and-
trying to
yeah.
trying to get technologies and all this other stuff. But point being is, the swastika was actually a beautiful thing before he defiled it. You know what I'm saying? Like, when you look at the swastika, it was used by many different people hundreds of years before him, and it was this, like I said, even the Cherokees to the Indians, like Indians. You know what I mean? Like, everybody used this symbol for their own thing, and it traveled worldwide, and it was this. Everybody had their own thing for it, but it was not what he represented. It was way before him.
Yeah, you could pervert anything.
Well,
Exactly.
any
Thank you.
symbol.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, actually, I saw a presentation where somebody was talking about the square and the compasses, and there's even some. I guess there's some Chinese legends that actually show some of the Chinese gods that have like the square and compasses, not together but separately. And,
Oh, very cool.
Well, I mean, but correlation doesn't always equal causation.
Sure.
Right? So
Yeah,
it
that's
was
true.
it was a fascinating presentation, but not necessarily true that that Freemasonry has any roots in China. Or,
Sure.
Or
It's
you know, you
it's a
see it
Knights
in-
Templar thing. You
Well,
can't
right,
connect it, but we do have the Knights Templar. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, yeah.
Well, and you know, there's a brother that likes to say that that there's you know that we like to talk about these legends and you know, when there's a legend that it doesn't always mean that there's a direct lineage, right?
Correct. Yes.
So you know, so it's kind of funny because what I love about Masonry is it really takes you know, these stories, the stories of chivalry, the stories of the Bible, of you know, the teachings that you can learn from, and instead of using them to browbeat the world with it, instead we're internalizing those. We're making ourselves better people, better men, by using those stories. And so, you know, you look at legendary stuff, and if you're taking those good things and you're saying, I'm going to internalize that and try and make myself a better person through that, you know, that's what's bad in that.
Yeah.
If you think about, you know, the square and compasses, I mean, the way of building has not changed. I mean, you got to have
Right.
things square. You gotta
Sure.
have things I mean, there's not, other than we're gone to laser levels and laser this and power hammers, but we're still hammering. We're
see, now
still
that's-
leveling. We're still measuring. We're still doing. There's no.
See, now
no,
that's what we need to do is we need to update this. You know, maybe.
Put a laser level there.
Totally kidding, folks. Like, I know there's probably some brothers. What the heck are you talking about? No, but
I'll bring mine down.
Maybe-
In fact,
maybe laser
one day I
etching,
was,
you know?
I built ductwork and sheet metal stuff, and I had my hammer out there, and I had my compasses. I was making some round stuff, and I looked out there, and I got all of my measuring tape, or my ruler. It was 48 inches, but you know, but I'm sitting there, I'm going, oh my God, masonry right there on the table. I had to take a picture, put them all together.
Yeah.
You know, and we still use. I mean,
yeah, I don't know, a laser level and a, you know, and a
Power hammer.
Yeah, power hammer. Probably.
well, I
wouldn't
got an
have
electric
the-
one that you know you can slide across the sides of
Yeah, it
things.
just wouldn't have the same awesomeness.
No,
you know?
we keep changing other things. Hopefully not. This.
Well, you
Yeah.
need to be ready for it.
No, it'll never happen. Then we're all right.
You know, we'll never agree on a lot of that. But you know, you're absolutely correct on that one, due to the fact that the fundamental aspect of building is still the same.
Sure.
The tools are still the same.
Sure.
Operative and speculative.
Yes.
Yeah.
And a lot of times people don't understand that. They want to know, well, what's the secret behind this tool, or what's the secret behind it?
Makes sense. Just,
It's still the same. I still got to build this house,
Yep.
you know, based upon the construction needs of what's going on. Well, when I say construction needs, meaning that every time you have a tile, You know, the tile is going to be 16 by 16, 12 by 12, 8 by 8. You know, and it's still 90, 90, 90. You know, squared. You know, if you have to build a house and you're using 2x4s, the 2x4s are cut at the bottom.
Plumb. You got the plumb, and then you
Yeah,
got
you know, and so right there's no secret. Right, we're just using certain tools just for building.
Yeah.
You know, and right, we're applying that aspect of those tools to our life, and that's all it is.
Sure.
You know, that's the secret right there. You know,
We're
oh my
building
goodness, I want to
this.
get banned for that. I gave
Yeah.
a secret.
we're building our bodies ourselves, not a structure that we go inside. The structure we're building is our you know, our hearts and our minds.
Sure. Regardless of religion and regardless
Yeah.
of, we push all that aside. No religion, no politics, and in some states, no sports.
Yeah, you got some states.
Louisiana and like all these other places, they have some lodges because people will throw blows over college teams.
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
worst.
Yeah.
Oh, hey,
Yeah.
you know what? I grew up in Texas. I'm
To all my Oklahoma friends.
Yep, Longhorns, yep.
Sorry, guys, I have to do it. I have to do it.
Yep, hit the horns, but no, you know what? And some of my best friends are OU fans. And,
Oh, God, yeah.
oh no, it's great because we get together on Texas OU weekend. We got a bunch of barbecue and we just talk smack to each other the whole time. And and it's a blast. But no, you're not kidding. I
Yeah.
mean, sometimes those sports rivalries they get bad.
We had a South American Freemason who came in, and in his lodge they couldn't talk soccer.
Oh, I bet. Oh, no.
I mean, soccer, bro. They if you've seen it, they riot in the stands.
Well,
Sometimes.
I wonder if
You're
England's
"Whoa."
like that. You look at the football
know.
clubs in England.
I know.
Oh my goodness.
No,
Yeah.
it's
I got a bunch of English brothers that I met again through TikTok. Beautiful brothers. You know, shout out to Otanka, Tommy, you know, and a few other folks. But they're one of them had sent me a Master Mason
Oh, one of
Yeah.
the ones with the rosettes.
with the
Yeah.
rosettes.
Master Mason
Yeah,
apron.
yeah, the English
Yeah.
aprons are
Very
are
light
gorgeous.
blue. It's like a baby blue,
Yep.
and he was like, yeah. But
Their Yorkite aprons are beautiful too.
I haven't seen those.
Their Royal Arch aprons.
They don't
are
have a
absolutely-
Scottish. And then, like, for example, like Sweden, you have to be Christian to
Wait a minute,
join
hold
a
up.
Swedish lodge.
Hold up, wait a minute. They don't have a Scottish.
They don't have a Scottish rite.
Yeah, but the Scottish Rite are 32s and 33s.
Yeah.
And
it
so,
gets weird.
yeah,
It
so
gets
they,
weird.
they don't. So over there, they don't have no
yeah.
32s or 33s.
That's
I'm
the-
just saying.
yeah,
you know
that's-
why I'm saying it
that's
because
the
of people
biggest
out
thing
here.
is everybody says when you say, "Oh yeah, well we don't do that," because they'll say you guys are demonic, and it's like, bro, most of these, and if you talk to Swedish, shout out to Swedish Freemason, I listen to him a ton, and he can't say, he won't say it any other way. He'll say, look, if you're going through the degrees, it's based on Christianity, and you can't tell him no different. He's been in the craft forever. He's like, it's based on Christianity, and I'll argue with it. I'll argue with you about it, but I'll let you know it is based on. But whether that's true or not, that's his
it's Old
stance on it.
Testament, but
It's
yeah,
Old Testament.
Right.
That's what I was
It
gonna
is
say.
Christianity.
Yeah, it's Old Testament. But
But
which, which has a foundation for a lot of, for Judaism, for
Sure,
Christianity.
sure.
It's,
but I was asking him about Sweden. He said you can't join unless you're a Christian in Sweden. He said, however, we do have 4 Finnish lodges, and you can join if you are other denominations in Sweden that have 4 Finnish lodges, but every other one is, every other one is you have to be Christian aside
Oh,
from the
that's
4 Finnish
interesting.
ones. Yeah, so
Really?
aside from the 4 Finnish lodges they have in Sweden.
so, I mean, in a way, I wouldn't say it goes completely against the principles, but, one of the things that I love about our fraternity, now that granted there's certain aspects where, you need to be a Christian to be a part of it, or
Sure.
but one of the things I really enjoy is that, here in New Mexico, for example, we have, brothers that are Jewish. We have brothers that are
Our worshipful right now
that-
is Hindu. So
yeah,
I mean,
no,
yeah.
exactly. We've got, Krishnas.
Yeah.
We've got Muslims.
Yep.
We've
Pagans.
got, yeah,
What's that?
Pagans.
Yeah.
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 So,
You have a pagan in your lodge.
There's
No,
I know a
and-
Norse pagan. Yeah, he worships Thor or something like that.
see,
Yeah.
now that's kind of
Who
cool.
wouldn't?
Yeah,
Really
yeah. I know a Norse pagan. It's just, but that's his belief. It's a higher power. It's created, or it's creator, not created.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's kind of like, okay, well, and you can't tell him any different. He's a good brother. He's always been nothing but a gentleman. When I've talked to him, he's about it.
I've seen them all, and that's what's most important is that we are so different in our religions and in our politics and lifestyles and everything else, and we can sit as soon as that door closes, and then that's all gone.
Yeah.
It's all gone. And football and all these other
Yeah.
things. The only thing I see the arguments is Army, Navy, Air Force,
Oh, yeah,
Marines, Coast Guard.
Because of course the Army.
Yeah.
Army, absolutely.
The only thing I've learned
Yeah.
from masonry is that nobody likes the Air Force. Everybody makes fun of the Air Force. I, not being a military guy, my dad was Army Air Corps, but I think he ended up Army. He did end up Army, but yeah, that's the only thing I get out.
It's called the Chair Force. But my dad was 20 years, and then I joined the Navy. So me and John always go back and forth. He's Army,
yeah.
I'm
I
Navy.
love watching
so,
the grade. I love it.
Yeah, go Army, beat Navy.
I love it. It's funny.
So, yeah, no, and it's funny though because that common denominator being on the level in lodge is one of my favorite things about masonry, and you just hear so many stories, and I've personally experienced this several times. One of the things I learned when I was in Boston in 2023 for the anniversary of the Boston Tea Party is that two of our brothers, Paul Revere and Joseph Warren, two of the founding.
They were
founders of
Masons?
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
So as a matter of fact, both were grandmasters.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So Paul Revere, really, I don't know if you've ever, I mean, he's kind of a footnote in American history when you're in school, right?
First time I heard of Paul Revere was in a Beastie Boys song, but go ahead.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, no, love that song. Love
Yeah,
the
it's a
Beastie
great
Boys.
song.
That's old school. So, no, but Paul Revere is kind of a footnote in American history, but he was really instrumental in a lot of the early days of the Revolution and throughout the Revolution. But what's important is that Paul Revere was a simple silversmith. Now, later in life, he became wealthier just through his business and production means and things like that. But it was interesting getting to hear from a historian that Joseph Warren, he was high society. And most people have never heard of Joseph Warren. And the reason is he was actually killed at the Battle of Bunker Hill. And as a matter of fact, this historian put it this way, had he not been killed at the Battle of Bunker Hill, this historian said that today we would say George Washington who?
Yeah.
I mean, that's how important he was. He established one of the first intelligence networks, but he was heavily involved on both sides, both on the colonial and on the loyalist side. But he was very much a patriot because he was actually one of the folks. I believe he was one of the folks at the Boston Massacre.
Wow.
And so he was a physician who actually ended up having to work on those folks, and that kind of solidified his resolve. But in 1773, there he is. He's best friends with Paul Revere, a simple silversmith, right? Wow. So these guys were in two very different social classes. Mm-hmm. They should not have been friends.
Sure.
However, they were brothers in lodge.
Sure.
And and you hear stories about this all the time, and I've had this experience myself where I've run into a couple of years ago, and I'm actually in Boston. I ended up hanging out with a brother, and we were both Army, so ended up chatting and hanging out throughout the weekend, and actually on Sunday, come to find out that this brother, I don't know why it didn't click, but had been a very well respected general in the Army. And so when I realized this,
Yeah.
he must have seen it on my face because he immediately goes, no, 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 just brother.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
it was that simple.
Yeah.
And it was just brother, because
Because
we're all
you
on the same-
automatically want to pop that salute, son. Just-
Right, right. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh my God, I've been hanging out with this very well respected general,
Yeah.
who took care of his troops, everything else, and it's like, wow, it was.
And nobody
an
will
eye-opener.
understand that but a military man. Just real quick side, I came fully dressed. I came back on leave. 9/11 happened while I was on leave, and I didn't know, but I was on the USS Kitty Hawk, which was forward deployed. I didn't know what the hell that meant. Forward deployed means if there's a war happening, you're the first person out there. I didn't know that, but I was just like, whatever. I'm on the USS Kitty Hawk. It is what it is. I got 2 weeks off. That's all I know. You know what I mean? And the wife, this was before we were married. She took me to her church, and this lady comes up, and I'm holding hands with the wife, and she's like, "So are you ROTC?" Because I looked really young. You know what I'm 19. I'm like fully. I don't have a beard. I'm just fully shaved. And she's like, "Are you ROTC?" I said, "No, I'm the real deal, girl." She said, "Well, I'm lieutenant," and I dropped the wife's hand, and she goes, "No, stop. You don't have to do that." It's like, because I was full uniform, so I'm like, I have to, regardless of, she was a lieutenant in the Air Force, but it doesn't matter. Like, you have to pop that salute for an officer. It don't matter. So I popped the salute, and the wife was like, "What just happened?" Because she's not from the military world at all. But I assume that when you found out he was a general, that's a similar feeling you had when you had walked through that. But yeah, I'm sorry. You were going to say something, Leon.
Oh, a couple little things. We go back to when you talk about music and liking that. There's a gentleman by the name of Frank Zappa,
Oh yeah,
Who was a
Zapp and
D-Malay.
Rogers, baby.
Oh, really? No kidding.
and he wrote it when he was with the Mother's Invention. He has a song that he sang about wearing his D-Malay robes.
No kidding.
Oh,
my gosh.
I never
I did
even.
not know
yeah,
that.
I had no idea.
Got a song out there, as well as Alice Cooper, but he didn't sing about D-Malay. He just sings about golf.
Really?
No, he doesn't sing about golf, but I've met him a few times.
No, I mean, I've met Alice.
Golf,
No, I've met Alice Cooper, and he's a wonderful, wonderful man.
our-
And you know, he runs a food bank in Arizona.
Yeah, oh, yeah, he does a lot for Arizona. And then our Brad Paisley is a spokesman. At
Oh,
the
yeah,
Shrine.
at the shrine. Yeah,
Brad
Paisley.
I've seen him.
D-Malay.
I've seen,
He's
he
our
doesn't
D-Malay
take
spokesman.
his cowboy hat off. He just puts the fez on top of
But
the
he's a
cowboy
spokesman
hat.
for D-Malay. He's one of our ambassadors.
Yeah.
But you're talking also about the differences in us. I was getting ready to run the Grand Lodge communications, and so the year before, I brought this lady with me to the grand banquet, and I looked around the room and I pointed to this table. I said, "See that table over there? See, that guy's a judge. That guy's a plumber. That guy's a hand surgeon. That guy's retired." You know, I went around the room, and these guys were all nothing the same. I said, "You know, this is the only place in the world that you would see that group of men have something in common."
I remember hearing a story that at one point, one of the lodges in London, the janitor at City Hall, or their equivalent of City Hall,
Sure.
was the master of the lodge, and the mayor of London was one of the members, and so the janitor of the lodge of the City Hall
Yeah.
was
Became
actually the
worshipful.
master.
Yeah.
Was the worshipful master of the lodge, where the mayor of London was sitting in the lodge as just a member.
Like-
And
I think in Freemason for Dummies, I think there's a story of one of the presidents.
oh yeah, Harry Truman.
Truman, his driver, right? His driver was the worshful
No,
master.
it was the gardener. I'm
Oh, it was the
pretty sure
gar.
it was the
maybe
landscaper.
it was
Yeah,
the
I think
gardener,
it
the
was-
landscaper.
Well,
And go ahead.
no. I'm
you know
sorry,
more about- you know more about it than I do,
No,
probably.
what was really funny about that was when he goes to lodge, and the Secret Service says, "We need to go in there with you," and he goes, "No, you're not coming in here." And,
Yeah.
and they said, "Well, we need to protect you." Sir.
He
And
says, "I'm more protected."
I'm safer in that room with them than I am out here with you.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I mean, and especially with the way things are going now with, did Did you hear, I was, me and Leon were talking about it in the parking lot, but did you hear what Candace Owens just came out with? The
Hey, I
30, the
really
30,
try to stay away from the news.
well, I mean, yeah, no, I understandable, absolutely. But she's trying to say that the 33rd Scottish Rite Masons are responsible for Charlie Kirk.
Whoa, really?
Yeah, she came out with that, and I was just so
Wait, that
disturbed.
kid was way too young to be anywhere close to 33.
Well, he
Or-
wasn't
or
a
to even be
Freemason.
in
He wasn't a
in
Freemason. All
Masonry,
she's
right,
saying that
yeah.
is that we not. I'm not going to say we. I mean, I am Scottish Rite. I think we all might be Scottish Rite.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
to say something that horrendous is just. It's so
Well, I mean,
saddening. It's
but-
just so crazy to me.
Well, and that's why I don't really watch the news because I mean, there's just a lot of misinformation in there
Right.
anymore, and
And that's why we have a lot of brothers coming out now, like especially on social media, trying to dispel these rumors because it's so sad. It's so sad that somebody would say something like that, especially because we're behind closed doors, and they don't know what goes on. All of a sudden, we're responsible for all this BS. But if it's like we were saying, if you're in Blue Lodge or if you're in any of these meetings, it's nothing like that.
Well,
It's
look,
just
look,
so
look,
crazy that
look,
they would think
let's,
that.
Let's just face it. Look, any organization on the planet is going to have, they're going to have folks that join that are not great, right?
Yeah.
I mean, look, everybody loves to point out that 14 presidents were Masons, right?
Right.
And we got some of the good ones. We got Teddy Roosevelt, right? But we also have some of the bad ones.
Yeah.
You got Andrew Johnson and you got Franklin Pierce on that list. I mean, you got the guy directly responsible for the Civil War.
Yeah.
I mean, and then you got on the back end
Right.
after Lincoln, you got the guy responsible for the Restoration.
Well, then
era.
you got Biden, who was made a Mason afterwards.
Oh, well, that was a Mason
yeah.
on the side.
Sure, sure. It's
I mean,
different.
now, to be fair, yes, they are legitimate Mason.
but it's all
but-
to the conspiracy theorist. It don't matter. And none of that matters. They don't know how it works. We know how it works. We know what that is. Okay, cool. Yeah, he's absolutely a master Mason, sure.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. He was made it on site, and which is
yeah.
He still is a master Mason, sure, but you didn't go through the degrees, you didn't,
Yeah.
you didn't have to
But it-
memorization or any of that. But go ahead.
But where I'm getting with this is that ultimately you're going to have, the good and the bad in any kind of an organization. right?
Sure.
Especially one as
Yep.
old as ours, especially one as large as ours. You're going to have good and bad, and you're going to have some of those members that just they ultimately turn out to be bad or whatever.
Sure.
Right? But one of the things that I love about this fraternity is that generally, I mean, just like any organization is going to have its own internal politics, right? We know that
Yeah.
there's that stuff going on too. But what I've seen with Masonry is when you look at that list of the good versus the bad, it is significantly smaller than most other
Sure.
organizations. And the same thing with the internal politics. While we still have our internal politics, it is significantly smaller than other volunteer organizations that I've been with other.
But here's the
groups,
thing:
right?
is because when we donate our monies to whoever it may be, we don't tell them to give us credit ever.
No.
So supposedly, from what I've read, we are the number 2 in the world who donates the most.
Philanthropists.
Philanthropists.
Shrine, yeah,
Thank
the
you.
Shrine is,
Well, not only the shrine, but all the other stuff we have through York Rite, through Scottish Rite, all this other stuff, and then all the other stuff that like people don't like when Ruidoso had its fire.
oh my God.
We raised
yeah.
a few $1,000 in our lodge. I can only imagine the other lodges.
$25,000 went down.
Yeah,
to,
but we don't ask for.
relieve that.
Point being is we don't ask for any recognition. It's just like here's your money, help the people, blah blah blah. Like
Well,
so
I know
be
for a long time, and I don't know if it's still the same, but the Shrine, for example, has been the world's largest philanthropic organization for a long time.
yeah.
I don't know if it still is, but
I believe it is.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely could be. But I was talking about Freemason in general. The last statistic I'd seen, and this was probably about 8 months ago, was we're number 2 in the world just as far as monies go. And that's just going out, being dispersed. It's just nobody sees it because we don't ask for any credit. We don't. No, no, no. Just take care of whatever you need to take care of. You needed money for this. Let's get it done. You know what I mean? Let's.
Masons are, you know, somebody who goes around to all these things and asking for help. They open their purses strings for us, and it's amazing what Masons gives to the youth and to
Sure.
everything. Just go back one more thing. We do have a D. Malay that was a president, and his wife was a Job starter.
Who's the president?
Well, they're still cleaning. He was also on the Epstein list.
Oh, no. Well, like I said,
Yeah, but he wasn't a Mason. He wasn't a
He
Mason.
was not a Mason, no. But he was a D. Malay, and she was a Job starter.
really?
Yeah.
Wow. So again, though, I mean, you
Yeah.
know, the thing is, you're going to have, I mean, and you know, they look up stuff like I think the guy that that did some really horrible stuff in Norway a few years back. I think he had been initiated into a lodge, and so. You know, there's things like that that are out there, but when you compare that to other organizations, the number of those bad, you know, those bad elements is significantly smaller.
Sure.
Overall.
And what a lot of what they don't understand is like it's not like and I hate to say this because I am Catholic. It's not like they're just pulling the priests out and moving them around like you know like the whales who bite people. You know what I mean? They're just moving them around. It's it's not like that. They get kicked out of the order and they get charges pressed upon them. And like they serve their time. It's not. There's no, you know, they don't get any breaks as far as the law goes. But yeah, it's just
Masons have been fighting each other for all over history. I mean, in the Revolution.
Yeah.
And,
Oh, yeah.
We have Santa Anna. We have Bowie and Crockett.
Although to be fair, he
you
was
know.
expelled afterwards. I think the whole Alamo, because I did a little bit of research into this, and I think the whole Alamo thing kind of didn't sit well with the rest of Mexico, with the Masons in
Yeah.
Mexico. You know, because there were at least 8 confirmed Master Masons there at the Alamo that were murdered, and well, okay, it was war, right? But I know. But anyway, but the thing is, you know, he sieged the Alamo, and then afterwards at the Battle of San Jacinto, the rumor is that he knew that General Sam Houston, also a Mason, was a Mason, and that most of his command staff were actually brothers, and so because of that, supposedly. Now, this is according to one historical record. He filled the air with Masonic signs when they caught up to him to spare his life.
Sure.
And I think that's what it was that he was perfectly fine sieging, you know, a building knowing that there were Masons there, but then when it came down to his own life being in jeopardy, he wanted to use masonry to, and I don't think
it's a hell of a white flag.
well, and
Yeah.
the Mexican brothers expelled him afterwards.
Yeah.
He
So
also lived up to his Masonic obligation to allow the wives and children to leave of the Masons that were there and gave them warning.
Right. He
One of
did
the
give
cool
them
things
fair
about my
warning.
position, we just had a executive officers retreat up in San Antonio.
yeah,
And it happened to be the same weekend as the anniversary of the Alamo.
the Alamo, yeah,
And-
March
and-
1836.
And so we
yeah.
were out there, and
I'm not
incredible ceremony. We put the yellow roses out there, but they would call the names of everybody who passed.
Yeah.
And so relatives, you know, would say, hey, you know, say something. And I felt bad that when we were all done, I go, you know, we had brothers in there, and we should have said, said our
There's still a
when they
plaque.
call the
There's
names.
still a plaque on the wall.
Yeah.
you know,
Bowie
if you're
with the
looking at the
statue.
Alamo, it's to the left. There's a plaque that actually
yeah,
has
right
the
in the
name
corner.
of all the brothers.
I have the picture. I have a picture of it on my phone.
Yeah, William Barrett Travis, David Crockett, Jim Bowie, the inventor of the Bowie knife.
And again,
Wow.
the history, one of the things says that Crockett came down there with his lodge brothers.
Yeah.
They were just out, you know, hunting and then got and said, let's go see this little battle down there. You know, you just
Now-
lost the election.
Now, what's fascinating is that Sam Houston was raised in Cumberland Lodge number 8 in Tennessee, in Nashville, Tennessee, which was actually the same lodge that Andrew Jackson was raised in.
Oh wow.
So they were actually brothers, and so when they captured Santa Ana, I know, turning it into a history lesson.
No. This
It's
is
great.
what he
Great.
wants it.
But what's funny is when they captured Santa Ana, Andrew Jackson actually wrote a letter to Sam Houston and said, "Hey, don't kill him.
Yeah.
You know, send him home alive. He's not going to raise another army. You're good. You've got your victory, but let's do the brotherly thing and send him home alive." And so they did so. And so that was kind of an interesting connection.
Yeah. And if I'm not mistaken, in Freemasonry for Dummies, I think during the Civil War, correct me if I'm wrong, but there was a battle, and then there was a lodge night, and for the one lodge night,
Yeah.
right, they invited the Masons from the other side,
Yeah.
the side they were fighting, and they had lodge night together. Then that night they were brothers.
Yeah, you had blue and gray
There
sitting
you
in
go.
sitting
There
in
you
the
go.
same
And the
lodge.
famous statue of the brothers helping brother.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And at Gettysburg, right? And
Yeah.
then you also had a similar incident in World War II.
Yeah.
On the front lines between, I believe it was the Battle of the Bulge. It might have been Bastogne. I can't
Bastogne.
remember. It was Bastogne, and essentially the two commanders realized that the others were brothers, and I mean, and I'm paraphrasing here.
Yeah.
But on Christmas night, held a truce and actually were able to create an element on the battlefield that of fraternity versus the warfare.
What a thing to have to go through. You know, you're gonna have, you're shaking hands, smiles, and then the next day it's like, I might have to do what I have to do. It reminds me of that Saving Private Ryan, where they hold that guy for a little while.
Yeah.
Oh, that shook me to my core when I saw
yeah.
that part. Have you seen Saving Private Ryan?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, where they take in the enemy, they hold him kind of hostage, and then they let him be, and then he gets back with another battalion, and he's the one who ends up killing Tom Hanks.
Yeah.
And you're like, shit.
Well-
Like, damn it.
Well, inevitably, this is one of those things with whether it's in person or online, whatever. I mean, I think that generally we really want to be just treat everybody with respect, regardless, and let's, I know there's folks out there that don't, they have ideas of what we do as a fraternity, and you know what? Let them go explore, and hopefully one day they may be able to see, the light, so to speak.
Sometimes the biggest critics turn into our biggest supporters.
Yeah.
Wasn't, what's his name, who wrote all those books, when he a critic of ours?
We've had a few of those actually.
Yeah.
And
Was it Manly P. Hall?
Manly P. Hall.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
Manly
maybe.
P. Hall did
And
that.
all
He
of a
became a
sudden-
Mason later on in life,
yeah,
I
all of a
think.
sudden became, trying to expose all these things.
Yeah.
Couldn't find what he's looking for. Realized that, wow, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think it was.
Good
It was.
group.
Well, and I would offer to anybody to look, to truly look at the fraternity, but understand that if you join or you try to join with mercenary motives, with ideas that you're going to use the fraternity to make yourself
disappointed.
to make yourself rich or powerful or connected or whatever, it's not gonna happen just because that's, again, it's not what we're about.
So true.
We're about becoming, better for each other, better for ourselves, better for our families, better for our communities and our nation, but and for the world in general. But if you're really interested in becoming a better person and in hopefully transforming yourself, I mean, we're all good men, but
that's the biggest key. Once we transform ourselves, then everything else comes around. And the more people we have transforming themselves to a better person, everything gets better.
Yeah.
I mean, it just, we can't change another person's opinion, but we change ourselves. And if they look at you and say, oh, that person's different. And,
Yeah.
and that's what I try to do with the DMLAs. I want them to look at that young man and say, there's something different about that young man.
Yeah.
And we don't have a uniform. We don't have anything like that, but we have character.
so I'll quote a Navy guy, and I'm gonna.
Oh man, don't do it, man. Don't do it.
It's gonna.
No,
much
man,
as it hurts,
don't do it.
It's gonna. It's gonna.
Oh man, I am that I am.
As much as it hurts.
It's gonna. Hey, but it's okay because he was also a Longhorn.
Oh!
So to quote Admiral McRaven, William McRaven, he said actually at the commencement speech for Texas.
Oh, that's a great speech.
In 2014, he actually said, if you want to change the world, start by
Make your bed.
making your bed.
Incredible.
And it's
Yeah, I like
and
that
there is
speech.
so much to
Jordan
that.
Peterson says the same thing, which I'm sure he took
Yeah.
it from him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But start by making your bed. Basically, the deeper meaning behind that. And by the way, masonry is all about deeper meanings, right?
Yeah.
So if you're going to change the world, start by making yourself a better person. Make
Sure.
yourself, make yourself, go that extra step.
Sure.
It can start with little things. It can be, something as simple as just helping someone with the smallest task.
Sure.
That's really what I do with the DMLAs is, I give them a chance to have these small wins, because they all want to be doing these grandeur things, but let's start with a small win. Learn this little part first, or let's go do this charity thing, or let's do this one little thing. And then they expand upon themselves and start going, well, we can do more than this. Or we can do better than that. I can learn parts. We just came back from
I was about to
from
ask you
Fort
about
Worth,
that.
and man,
Wait,
they came back. Go ahead.
Before you say Fort Worth, what was y'all doing down in Fort Worth? What was that whole assembly about?
Well, we were actually in Arlington.
Yeah. I love
Arlington, Texas.
Arlington.
And-
Hey, go Rangers.
And we were staying right across the street from Six Flags and
Oh,
down
nice.
from the Cowboy Stadium.
Yeah, we won't talk about that. 1 star, it's a rating.
But we were doing
I went there.
a regional competition
Okay.
for ritual parts, which, like masonry, the young man learned many parts.
Yeah.
I mean, it takes
Oh, yeah.
about 15 young men to just open a chapter, parts wise and floor work and things like that. And they practice and compete against each other or from other states. And actually, we did quite well in New Mexico. I have a young man right now I've trained James Christopher, and I've trained, helped train James and many others. And I have a young man right now that is phenomenal. I've never seen anybody do this speech called the Flower Talk, which is about a 20-minute presentation about your moms. And he did this presentation for the Grand Master of DMLA and one of the strongest, best coaches ever, Mom Northcutt. And he had the room crying. And it was unbelievable. He did his first time, he did it for the Daughters of the Nile. He's never even performed this thing live, really, to real moms. And he did it for the Nile ladies. All of us were bawling. And he threw him off because he never performed it. He didn't realize the passion that goes into this thing, especially when you're a mom. And I just lost my mom. And so those words were just hitting me hard. And all the ladies in there. And just so proud of these guys. And again, they bond with these guys from all across the country. And they came back on fire. They're wanting to learn more parts. They're wanting to go visit other states. And since we're not as big as we used to be, when we go to these types of things, you get to actually see the bigness of what we are. And masonry too. I mean, New Mexico masonry is not as big as it was when I was a mason in the
Sure.
70s. And so you got to go travel to actually see. This is a big and fantastic organization.
Sure.
And you got to travel. You got to be a traveling. You know, we're called traveling men, not just for title. It's so that we're allowed to go and travel and encouraged to travel and share our the way we do our work with other people. Of course, unfortunately, some people say ours is best, and not really. Yours is just what you're used to.
Sure.
By the way, I do got to do a shout out because this happened.
Oh, there we go, man. Getting shouts out, man.
I know. So, brother Eric out of Massachusetts, he actually gave me this hat. I was in Boston last April.
Sweet.
Oh, okay, I thought it was a shout out for someone that actually made it, and I was like, "Hey, hold on now, hold on."
Commercial? Were you doing commercials?
No, it was
Thank
great. I was hanging
Nick
out with
Reese.
it was great. I was hanging out with a brother in Boston last April, and I actually went out there for the 250th anniversary of Paul Revere's Midnight Ride. And,
Very cool.
And the Battle of Lexington. Again, history buff, right? But I get out there and ended up again. I love our fraternity because you get to meet brothers who otherwise would remain at a distance, right?
Sure.
People that you would never otherwise talk to,
Not
right?
at all.
And so get to know this brother. We hit it off, and heck, he's bugging me to come out to Boston again because they've got all kinds of fun stuff going on for the 250th this year. And oh yeah, which I'm sorry, Eric. We're actually I'm gonna be out in Philly, so Declaration of Independence, that kind of thing. So, but yeah, it's really neat. And so yeah, he actually gave me this scally. It's a Boston scally. So,
Sweet.
Oh yeah. Right.
Sweet.
Again, we prove that there would be no way that we would have anything in interest that we would ever have met each other anywhere.
Yep.
Unless we're in a bar together somewhere. But
Yeah.
we still wouldn't have recognized each other.
Right.
Except for the common bond of masonry.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what's so cool. I got friends all over the country, all over,
All
the,
over the
world
world, right.
now that I talk to, and it's I feel like I could get lost anywhere and make a call and somebody come rescue me.
Well,
Sure.
and that's it. And it's not just that. It's the travel, being able to go anywhere
And have a meal.
Yeah.
have a meal. Have a meal.
Always have a
You know
meal.
what?
Yeah, depending
When
on
we
which
eat,
one
we
you.
Always have a meal.
So I mean, no, it's absolutely true, and it's funny because I don't like shrimp, and I was down in New Orleans back in September, and I actually got to go to Trois Poiriers, and sorry, my brother's in Louisiana for mispronouncing that, but it's the first lodge in Louisiana, and they made a wonderful. It was a shrimp. I can't remember the name of it. No, it was something else. But it was. I don't even like shrimp, and that was really good. But it was great because I got to spend time with brothers. Got to see a very historical lodge. But traveling, like you said, it's about traveling, going out and meeting brothers. I've met brothers from all over the world. I've got open invites to lodges, in Italy and France, in Mexico, and so many other places. And that's what it's about. It's about the fraternity. It's about knowing that no matter where you're at, there's someone out there that you can connect with and just share a good story with.
Sure. Yeah. In UK,
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
in the UK,
yeah.
all over the place.
a quick shout out to Otonko, but they just invited him to become a member of. So I guess in UK there's a lot of lodges that are like all plumbers, all electricians, all you know what I mean?
Yeah, actual trade
Basically,
lodges.
trade lodges.
So they have a
Like a guild.
yeah, so they have an entertainment one where it's musicians and they just invited him because he's a great writer of music, and he said if you come out here, he said not only can I bring you to that lodge, but they probably want to make you a member, and because I've been doing music since I was so young, but me and the wife are planning a trip late next year to go out and possibly visit the UK, which would be it would be awesome, and then actually visit that lodge would be
Isn't
amazing.
the keyboardist from Yes? a member of that lodge?
yeah, that's what I
yeah.
believe you're right. Yeah, yeah.
Rick,
There's,
Wakeman?
Yeah, something like that,
Or
yeah.
Wakefield? Yeah.
but they got
Oh my God.
artists, and it's all a part of this one lodge. It's just artists, like literally, like draw art, and then they got musicians, and they got all these people from all walks of life and art and whatever art form that they do. So I thought that was kind of cool that they had their own little. I mean,
Hollywood Lodge.
yeah, yeah. But,
Right.
but it was cool to have the trades too.
Yeah.
Welders and your
See, I've always been more of an intellectual, so I'd probably want to join the Oxford Lodge.
yeah.
Because that's, I love music. I love entertainment.
Ting.
That wasn't meant to be an insult. Oh,
Ting.
no.
Ting.
He does the drums, and that makes it an insult.
Intellectual.
I know what you said. I'm an intellectual. It's like, okay.
I can turn the radio on. Maybe they'll put me in that one. Volume. Channel. Do I qualify?
It's like, all right, man. No. If you say you're intellectual, man, hey, you're intellectual.
Oh, my goodness.
I think there's 2 people in that lodge.
Wow.
It's true.
Yeah.
You guys were talking about, having entertaining people on, and I'm thinking, why are you inviting me?
No. Look, brothers from all walks of life. Like I want to have any and everybody on, just because it just shows the beauty of it. I mean, some of these are going to be very exciting. Some of them are going to be boring to others, but it really doesn't matter at the end of the day,
It's our
because
journey, because and
yeah.
one of us is going to hit somebody out there. I'm on that same
Exactly.
walk.
Exactly.
I understand that, and
Especially during COVID, really messed everything up for
Oh,
everybody. I mean, so many people are just scared to leave their houses now. They don't have what we had when we grew up. Like I wasn't allowed inside. I wasn't.
Hold on. You're still young.
I'm 40.
We were-
I'm 44, bro.
Oh,
I'm
okay,
not
okay,
young,
okay,
bro.
okay.
Yeah, I'm
Constitution's
44.
older than you.
Okay, but I.
But drinking from water hoses.
Absolutely,
Yep,
yeah.
latchkey.
So it's
Wow.
it's
Y'all must have been rich. They had water hose? Man, y'all had water hose? Straight faucet, man. Straight faucet, man. Oh, man. Y'all was high on the hog, man. Y'all was highfalutin people right there.
Indoor toilets, too. Indoor plumbing.
Goodness.
Water hose, man. Did you have a spray nozzle too?
hey, bro. I remember it.
We had an
Crank the
open-ended
hose. Yeah,
The figure.
Yeah, you use the thumb. Use the thumb.
I remember.
Come on.
I remember.
Lower that up.
I
Oh,
remember
hell, what
we
are you
weren't
talking
allowed.
about? I still use the thumb.
We weren't allowed inside even during the winter sometimes. And I remember
Yep.
going up to like people where they had their dryer when they were doing the clothes and
the vent.
warming
Yeah,
up
the
at the
vent.
vent
Oh, yeah.
at the dryer, because we don't have them anymore, but we used to get blizzards out here in New Mexico. Like blizzards where it was like freezing as hell, 2 feet of snow, 3 feet of snow. When I
Black
was
ice
young, we
everywhere.
used to have that. And you'd be freezing. You'd go up to the vents and just, you know what I mean, and just warm up on the little vents there.
Well, I
But
grew up in Texas. We didn't have blizzards, but we still did that.
yeah.
You know,
Yeah, I mean,
when it's not 100 degrees, it's cold.
yeah, I went from Hawaii to Kirtland Air Force Base, and even when I was on Kirtland Air Force Base, that's where we had the blizzards. And I just remember, like I said, 2.5, 3 feet of snow sometimes, walking to school, and it was
Uphill both ways.
uphill
Yeah.
both ways.
You know what I'm saying? Cardboard on the bottom of his shoes.
Right?
But now, like where I grew up, Zia Park, it's all leveled now because of the fuel spillage.
Oh.
The whole neighborhood's leveled. We were drinking airplane fuel.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Hey,
there we go.
that'll put hair on your chest.
Yeah. They had that big
Just ask Leon,
Yeah.
yeah, they had that big airplane fuel thing because they had the pipes running underneath, and it tainted the ground, tainted the water, tainted everything. So they had to level the whole place. Which I grew up there till I was 11 or 12. none of us knew. None of us knew what we were drinking. But, it just was what it was. But yeah,
It takes months to burn that dirt and clean it up and put it back in.
years. Yeah, I mean, it's just there's a whole reason they haven't built another community over it because the ground's still messed up. And I didn't know that until so I retired from Water Authority, and they're still trying to do a cleanup crew on it, and it's going to take decades because there was so much fuel spillage that just destroyed the ground underneath the Air Force Base, and it seeped through towards into Albuquerque too. So it was,
All these old gas stations.
mean,
There's lots of.
Well, I mean, on the
Yeah, that's why
bright
they
side,
taking
at
them.
least you can count on a commercial. Were you exposed to? Call 1-800 and you're gonna get
And I ate lead
you're
paint.
entitled to compensation.
right. I haven't
Played with
seen that one
mercury.
yet, but
All these things that are bad now, I did when I was a kid. Okay, lead paint. Okay, played with mercury.
yeah.
My dad, sheet metal heating air conditioners. We had
Well, that explains-
thermostats.
That explains
I
a
probably
lot.
stole it some. Who knows?
Yeah. My dad worked at Ural Mechanical and Engineering, and I remember I didn't know what it was, but it looked like I had spilled some mercury on the floor, and I was tapping it back and
Oh,
Oh
forth
yeah.
along the concrete because it looked like Terminator 2.
Yep.
You know what I'm
Well,
talking
it was
about?
Terminator 2.
Yeah. But I was tapping it back and forth, and then later on, years later, I'm like, oh, that can kill you? Shit.
Well, no. It doesn't just kill you; it makes you mad first. Yeah.
Well, that explains a lot.
Yeah. No, the story of the Mad Hatters, right?
No.
So, 19th century, I believe, the men would shine the brims of their hats with mercury, and so they would actually, over time, the mercury exposure would cause them to go crazy, and then they would be Mad
call it the
Hatters,
Mad
and
Hatters.
that's where the character came from. Yeah,
Oh, I got
that's
you.
where Lewis Carroll came up.
That
with
makes
the character,
sense.
Yeah, the
Wow.
Mad Hatters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's why they call it that. It's understood now. That's crazy.
Yeah, good old mercury poisoning. Right?
Yeah, like,
we're just getting all kinds of cool stuff.
yeah.
tonight,
Oh,
huh?
yeah.
Yeah. Fun history, fun.
My dad made me climb in attics with asbestos all the time.
Yeah.
Jeez.
We were knocking down walls in the Navy one time, and I remember it was just, you couldn't even see like 4 feet in front of you because we were knocking down walls, and an officer came in and he said, everybody evacuate now.
See,
We're like, what happened? And he said, this is all asbestos. And I was like, no, we didn't have any
no.
PPE on, nothing. It was just, it was
so,
what it was.
So that's the difference between the Navy and the Army.
Oh, no.
So I'm not kidding. We were getting ready to go to Iraq the first time in 2003. We were on the invasion, and we move into these dilapidated barracks at North Fort Polk, and the barracks actually had signs on them that said, "Do not inhabit asbestos warning," right? So we grab one of the signs, we show our first sergeant. First sergeant looks at it and says, "Shut up and do your job. Do what you're told." So we moved into these barracks, and they just told us, just don't sweep. You got to mop. You can't sweep because if you sweep, it'll kick up all the dust. So who knows what kind of wonderful cancers I got heading my way. But, but
That
yeah,
explains
no,
a lot,
that's the difference between the Army and the Air Force.
That might explain a lot.
So, no, there's no explaining this.
Yeah, that explains
I can
his
make all the
intellectual, him being an intellectual, huh?
Yeah. No, I can make all the excuses
Yeah,
I
because you
want.
see what
but,
they say. I'm
yeah.
intellectual.
Intellectual,
Yeah, I like that one. I'm going to commit that to memory.
right?
You are one?
No. No, I'm not by no means. But
Jeff says, even though I have the visage of Abraham Lincoln, seriously, he could put a top hat on. He'd look like
Yeah.
Abraham Lincoln.
Nah. But one of the things is, man, I like the fact that we could all just come together. You know, from different walks of life. Leon, he's probably from like Where you from? Out here?
He's making assumptions.
Yeah. And John, you from what, Texas?
Texas. Yep.
Yeah. Nick, he's from Hawaii. You know, and I'm from West Virginia. You know, and so just to have, you know, all of this come together, you know, as brothers, you know, just like you said, where else we actually would have truly met,
Right.
you know, because I don't have nothing in common with none of y'all.
Well, and it's
No,
funny because
period.
we don't always agree either.
No.
What?
Well, look, sometimes we fight like brothers. Let's be honest.
Right.
Let's be honest.
No, we don't
And
always agree on
sometimes
stuff.
you need a mediator to come in. Sometimes you need to call that brother after not talking to them for 2-3 months, 6 months, a year, and say, "Hey, man, let's squash this. Let's. I mean, you know, whether it be let's squash this. I don't really care for you anymore, but I still want to be. I want to be
Harmony.
cordial with you.
Yeah.
Or I miss you, bro. There's that too. I miss you. I want to be cool with you again. I'm sorry, or you know, I need an apology from you, whatever it may be. But all in all, for the most part, it doesn't always get worked out, but it does more than the average. Let's put it that way. Because other brothers will jump in and say, "Hey, man, this is enough is enough. You guys need to let's all sit and hash this out because this is stupid already." You know?
Well, that's what I love. I mean, there is not a single brother in the fraternity that I've met that I don't like, and you know, I've had my disagreements with them. There's some of them that I've you know, I know I've had to be kind of firm with, and
Yeah.
you know, and whether that's seen as you know, as overzealous or not, it's always been out of love, and you know, and that's it. And
But we're
we
taught
don't-
leadership, and sometimes
Yes.
leadership requires you to do things. You know, if you're a good leader, you have to do things sometimes that aren't your character, or,
Right.
or aren't
Yeah.
aren't the you know, the most popular thing. But
Mm-hmm.
but as a leader, if you're steering that ship and that's what you believe,
Yeah. Well, and ultimately doing the right thing, and that's where it comes down to, and that's why it's so wonderful. And again, that's also why we're very exclusive.
Sure.
Yeah.
Is, you know, you're looking for good men to be brothers, not just the average man out
Sure.
there. You're not just looking for anybody that wants to join. You're looking for those good men because you know that ultimately, even if you disagree with them, they're at least coming from a good place in their heart.
Sure.
And in your heart is where it all starts to begin with. So,
Absolutely.
so in DMLA, we have a time clock that ticks. You know, we talk about the hours. We have the hours.
my
sand-
girlfriend has mentioned a time clock that
I'm like, great girlfriend. Here's your present. I'll see you in the morning. But you know, we have that clock, and we know, and so we're in a rush to do a lot of things, and we push them harder. And I'm a little controversial because I have certain viewpoints, but I'm looking at it from a lens of the 70s of what I've seen and the potential, and I push them a little hard, and you know, I think nowadays we baby people too much, and we lower our standards to help people get, you know,
Right.
do these things. When I'm the guy that says, no, I'm going to put that carrot a little bit further than you know, a little bit harder. And the masonry, if you do it right, it's the same thing. You should be pushing that carrot out a little bit further, but you do it to yourself.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, and that would be my challenge to anybody that's listening. You know, if you're a good person and you think that you're up to the task, you know, we're looking for good people. But that's it. You got to be a good person first and foremost, a good person of faith. And so if you know in your heart that you're not ready for that, then we're not for you.
We're not a
Yeah.
rehab.
You know.
Yeah.
No,
not
exactly.
rehab.
No, exactly.
You know, we're not skilled in that area, but we will help you out as a brother and do bust our butt for
You
you.
know what?
But
And that's the
We're
thing,
not AA,
regardless.
but supposedly the person who made AA was a Mason.
Right.
I've heard that from two different Masons who who heavily look into that are they're historians as far as masonry goes. So I was like, well, that's kind of crazy that AA, it's just
Again,
to apply the masonry thing to so many other different things like Boy Scouts.
Yep.
You look at
The founder
of Boy Scouts was a Mason. Like it's just like, oh wow, so you applied that to all kinds of
what
different
about
things.
the Mormons?
The Mormons, yeah.
Well,
About the
he was an
religion?
expelled. He was
Yeah,
an expelled.
Yeah.
But still,
Still applied it.
Principles, yeah,
You know what I mean?
principles are
it's still
principles.
applied. Yeah, principles are principles.
Well, and a couple of more Mormon friends have confirmed that there's some interesting similarities between
Sure.
between the church.
And they're very big on family and helping each other out.
Oh, yeah.
That's true.
That's the most credible thing about Mormonism is they really support each other. More so than any other religion that I can think. I mean, I'm Catholic or was Catholic.
Yeah.
And,
And that brings up a great point because there's a lot of even within Masonry you hear about clandestine groups and things like
Sure.
that. And now, and you hear about some of the bad things, right? I know in Texas that's a big problem. As a matter of fact, one of my best friends, a guy I worked with for a long time, really good guy. He became a brother, and he's very dark-skinned Hispanic, right? Mm-hmm. And he went to what he thought was a legitimate Masonic lodge, and it was all white guys. And they said you're not gonna fit in here.
Where was this?
This was in Texas.
Wow.
And which really annoys me because
Sure.
that's still going on in Texas, but it wasn't a legitimate lodge. And so he and I always get breakfast. And so we were talking one day over breakfast, and he says, you talk about all these good things about Masonry. Can I be a Mason? And I said, absolutely. And I said, why would you not? And he says, well, I went to this lodge one time, and
You had to look up the lodge.
no,
Which
no,
lodge?
no, I didn't. No, I didn't. And because what he told me, I said, you know what? If they would turn you away because of the color of your skin, then that is not a real lodge.
Okay, but Louisiana,
Okay,
Louisiana this year,
I've heard
Louisiana
rumors.
this year just they don't recognize Prince Hall anymore. I know it's
that's-
so stupid because Jeff took me to a Prince Hall lodge
Brothers,
here.
really?
Yeah,
Brothers, really?
yeah. But
Seriously?
Jeff took me to our Prince Hall lodge here. I thought it was.
they're amazing.
Oh,
Yeah, no,
I
they're
fucking loved
amazing.
it, bro. It was
Yeah.
amazing. I loved it. Yeah, it was great. But
Both
So-
times as master, we've had co-meetings with them.
Yeah.
We open, or they open and we close, and
oh, that's
take each other's
Yeah,
chairs and
yeah.
sit together and watch each other's.
that's awesome.
Wonderful.
What makes us the
wonderful
same and what
brothers.
makes us different. I
Sure.
mean, it's such minimal things, but it's so cool to watch what they do.
Yeah.
Well, and it's funny because I've heard this question before. Well, if there's full acceptance, why aren't they brought back in? Because what they have created is something so beautiful that it would be destroying a piece of art.
yeah.
If so Prince Hall is wonderful. Their ritual is amazing, but going back to my friend in Texas, he asked me about this, and he says, would they reject me because of the color of my skin? And I said, no, that's not a real Masonic lodge.
Yeah.
Because that goes against the foundations of our fraternity. And so I said, but if you're really, really worried about this, I'll tell you what, I'll be your liaison. When we come back, next time I'm back in Texas, we'll go to a lodge.
Yeah.
And so we actually, and shout out to Lebanon Lodge in Frisco, Texas. We came back. We were actually professionally at a conference that year, and so because he and I do the same work, and so we went to Lebanon Lodge, and we walk in. And right off the bat, there's two black brothers. There's several Hispanic brothers.
Sure.
There's even a couple Filipino brothers, and so there's brothers from all walks of life. And I looked at him and I said, "Are you still worried about this?" And he looks at me and he laughs and he goes, "Nope."
I think as Americans, we don't. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I think as Americans, we take it for, in the Philippines and in South America, DMLA is bigger. in those two countries, there are more DMLAs in the Philippines than there is in all of America. Wow. There are more DMLAs in Brazil there in America. And that comes from the lodges caring about their youth.
Yeah.
You know, and the whole way they run their things, they care about their youth, they care about their city, and they want the youth off the streets.
Sure.
So they require them to have a Joe's Daughter, have a DMLA, have a Rainbow. They have to have, each lodge has to have a working youth group. And they're changing their country and their world. I think in America, we're not looking at this in the right way, especially lodges. They see these young men, and back in 1958, they broke a light bulb.
We need a committee to talk about this.
And all that old stinking thinking, we got to get this next generation, but these other countries are doing it, and we're not doing it here in America like they're doing it across the world.
Yeah, but
We're in Paraguay, and it is growing like crazy out there.
But I have a question for you. Do you think that the reason why they're growing like they're growing over there in those countries is based upon the technology that our youth have over here in America versus what they have over
Society.
there? You think it's society?
I think it's the way. Again, you live in Brazil, and you're worried about the gangs.
Yeah.
And you don't want your kids out there in these things, and they're out protecting their kids.
Yeah.
And they hold Masonry is held at a different standard out there. We're out here, sometimes we just grab a mirror and see if this guy's breathing, and we bring him in. Out there, it's hazing. I mean, it's kind of the verge of hazing. You have to earn those positions just to be initiated, and it takes years.
Yeah.
And here, we're rushing people through. I mean, we're talking about all the way in one day at one of the lodges the other night. And I go,
Really?
Yeah, they're bragging about, all the way in one day, we're doing this, doing that. I go, man, that's not really a personal journey. That's McDonald's.
It really is.
Anybody knows that, true transformation comes through hard work. Through hard work. Well, and ultimately doing the work.
We got to change the minds and hearts of people, and you can't do that unless you're one-on-one.
Yeah.
In the volume basis.
Oh, well, and
I mean, we can make a
that's
cookie
whole
cutter
nother
type
thing.
thing like a McDonald's, or we can make
Well,
something like a.
And the sweet is never as sweet without the sour. You can't do that with a one day, all the way in one day. You just can't. You have to have the sour of having to learn this stuff.
It's like the Mason on site, right?
Yeah.
And I love the process for that. When you know that there's somebody out there that's doing the work, that's somebody that's doing so many good things for their community. Case in point, Shaquille O'Neal.
Yep.
Mason on site in Florida, right?
But then you look at DJ Quick, and he's going through the degrees.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, so everybody's like, oh, DJ Quick's actually doing the real deal. Like, as a Mason, when you're between all the way in one day and you did the degrees, there's a respect amongst Masons where you're like you know what I'm saying?
It's like lottery winners. They all end up broke, a lot of them. Mm-hmm. But the people that worked their butts off their life, or built a business, or built their life,
became millionaires.
They work hard and they respect it, and you give something to somebody, and nobody understands the work involved. And
So true.
respects it.
Well said.
And you
Well
got
said.
you got to get some sweat in there. You got to
Yeah.
get your hands dirty.
Yep.
And you got to get in there to appreciate, so that when you're done with it, you go, and that way you can
Yeah.
hold the next person accountable to that
Yep.
height. We're just giving, in America, we're too soft.
Yeah, it wasn't always like that, but yeah,
No,
we've made
no.
the what's that? There's a saying, and I'm gonna screw it all up, but like hard men make soft times.
Yeah,
And then
I did
soft
a
times
presentation
make
on
soft
that.
men, and
There
then
you
soft
go.
men make hard times.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's one of those things, and it's just we've nerfed the world. That's what we've done.
Hard times make hard men,
Uh-huh.
and we're in hard times.
Yeah.
And we need to start building some
We've
hard men.
padded everything for our children, and it's like, well,
You're not helping them.
yeah. Like I used
Now,
to.
is that equivalent to a scruffy Nerf herder for the Star Wars?
I'm a huge Star Wars fan.
Yeah.
Who you calling Scruffy look? He didn't care about the Nerf herder part. He was just like, who you calling Scruffy look?
I love you. I know.
I have a ring that my wife bought me for an anniversary. She has the I love you, and I have the I know.
I know. Nice. I like that.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I told her, I was like, these are sick, and then she bought them for our anniversary. I was like, hell yeah.
It's cool. It's cool. This is pretty cool. We wandered around talking about so many different things, and then tying it into masonry because masonry does tie into every
Hey,
part
so
of it.
wait a minute.
This
So
was-
you guys are pretty powerful Mason, right?
No,
Tell
we're
me
not
where
high.
the
Not a
aliens-
33rd.
Yeah,
I'm a
we're not high enough up yet.
Can you tell me where the aliens are? Because I'm still
Roswell.
looking for this one.
You
They're
two
all in
are way.
Roswell
You
still.
two have done more than we have. What are you talking about? If you don't have the answers, we definitely don't have the answer.
No, I'm still looking for No.
Yeah, I'm just waiting
No,
for the invite.
I love that. I enjoy I enjoy hearing about those things. I've got a couple friends outside of masonry, and they're, so I heard this and this and this, and I'm going, God, that would be awesome if it
Yeah,
was true, you
yeah.
know. But yeah,
I would love to be involved with something like that. I could make the world a better place, but
Well-
unfortunately, you know what I'm saying? Unfortunately, I just
I love telling people about what I'm doing with DeMolay and masonry and stuff like that. But they always question why am I doing this? Why am I doing it?
Yeah.
You getting paid?
there's some ulterior motive, which is so stupid.
you know what? So I also volunteer with another organization, and we actually we have a phrase, and that is your paycheck as a volunteer member. And what that really is it's seeing the things like we talked about earlier, seeing that kid that gets help when they had no other option. It's seeing that widow or that orphan that had nothing else to look forward to, and then now they do.
Yeah.
That is the paycheck. That is what
Yeah.
we do these things for. When you can see a kid that has an opportunity that they never would have had previous to their engagement with that volunteer organization, whether it's masonry, whether it's the other one or not, that is truly what drives most of us, and being a part of
Even
that.
even me and the wife cook for the shrine. I mean, we were cooking every time for the shrine. Now we cook off and on every other month ish. And if we have stacks of leftover plates, as soon as we leave the shrine, we just give them out to the homeless. I mean, it's the same. It's along the same line. It's like here, whatever it is, whether it be spaghetti, whether it be chicken, whatever we cooked, and just hand it out, and they're super grateful, and it's just you're just to help, it's a beautiful thing. It makes you feel good.
You're gonna make me quote the Navy guy again. Holy crap! Oh Lord, my God!
Hey, well,
I'm-
not everybody's perfect. You know what I'm saying?
Is there no help for the Army guy? I'm just gonna say. So that was another thing that McRaven said. That Admiral McRaven said was impact the life of one person, impact the lives of 10 people, and just in a couple generations, you will have impacted so many people.
Yeah.
Just being a
ripple.
the ripple effect,
Yeah.
right? Just being a good person,
Yeah.
and impacting in such a small way can have all the effect. So, for example, giving a meal to one person. You know what? Maybe 1,000. Maybe you feed 1,000 homeless folks with a meal, but just one of those says, you know what? I need to do something better with my life, and there's something that this person gave me, or one of the kids you work with DeMolay. Just one of those turns around and impacts again 10 people.
Yep.
And then each of those impacts 10 people, and then just moves forward. I mean, within a couple generations, over 100,000 people.
I remember even before I became a Mason, I didn't have much money. I just gotten out of the military. I was having a hard time finding a job. Found my first job. I was working at
Not the same crap.
I worked at American Furniture as a salesman. So I was selling patio furniture, and I was
Low?
What's that?
Did you know Flo out there?
I didn't know Flo.
Okay.
But I worked at the one on Carlisle Minot.
Yeah.
And so I was going to cash my check, and I went into there was a Smith's or something right next to there, and the girl in front of me, she had 2 babies in strollers. She had twins, and like I said, this was 20 years before I became a Mason, fresh out of the military, and I felt so bad for her. She rung up all these groceries. She had this list of the things she could buy because she was on WIC. She was on the welfare system, and it was like, I don't know,
Cheese and
83
water
bucks,
and milk
83
and-
bucks worth of groceries, cheese, exactly, cheese, milk, all this stuff for them. Like
Cereal and-
Wow,
most
that'd
of
be
it was,
$1,000 worth of
Well,
I
in
know,
the grocery
I know.
business, I remember seeing the WIC cards come.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, but the WIC didn't kick in till the next day. So that date didn't kick in till the next day. The check she had or whatever it was at the time didn't kick in till the next day, and she was so freaking embarrassed. And I'm 3 people back, and she goes, "I'm so sorry," she told the lady, and I said, "I'll pay for it." And everybody turned around and looked at me crazy, and they were like, "What?" I said, "I'll pay for it." And then so I walked up. I got to be head of the line now, but that wasn't. I didn't know that was going to be. But the cashier said, "Set your stuff there. You're next," because I was paying for her. But that's not what I did it. I did it because, I mean, she's got twins. She's single. You could tell baby daddy wasn't there, and I was just like, and she was so young. She was probably 17, 18. You know what I mean? And I was like, man, this poor girl. Like, how embarrassing to ring all that shit through and then not have the money to pay for it. Like I said, I'll pay for it. And my check was only like $250. So it was a substantial amount of my check. It was a huge chunk out of it. So I'm like, it's fine. I'll figure out my way. Just make sure her and her babies are okay. You know what I mean? Like, but yeah.
And that's what makes Mason so special, because it's the heart.
Yep.
And I mean,
Yeah.
we're not all great, but man, you can't find many groups where you have so many put together there. And we all have our bad apples and
Yeah.
and things like
Yeah.
that. But
Yep.
but there's a lot of us that give for all. I have this little story. Do we have a little time?
Sure. We got plenty of time.
Okay, I tell this story because people ask why I do this, and I stole this from a mentor of mine, and it's about it's a story and it's a saying. Frank Land, who started DeMolay, was a good friend of Truman, and he they're all Kansas City out there and everything, and he told
Kansas City.
yeah. So he tell a story that goodness is only one generation away from failing,
Yeah.
and Reagan took that and changed it to words many years later to freedom is only one generation from failing. And we don't inherit it in our bloodline. It's not something we're born with. It's something that has to be repeatedly fought for all the time. And so I take that story and I talk about 2 questions that Plato put out. Plato talked about, who's going to teach our children and what are we going to teach them?
Yeah.
So I tell a story about a young man who, of course, like all of us, we're young and we didn't have a dad, and he's asking all the questions a young man had. He wants to know about girls and religion and sex and politics and all these things, but there's nobody to teach him. And finally, this gentleman comes up to him and says, I'll be your mentor. I'll teach you all about life. And so for years, they sat around days and weeks and for hours and hours and hours and years, and they talked about all these things that were important to all of us as young men,
Yeah.
I don't know these things. What about religion? What about politics? What about life and sex and these things like that? And they talked about it. And as they're going through the years, the mentor would say, someday your special purpose will come true. You're going to change the world. You're going to do something special. And they continue to talk, and the young man grows into a man, and he moves away. And again, they still continue talking about the things that would be, you know, that he was been taught his whole life. And again, he said, someday you're going to do something special with your life. You're going to change the world. He wakes up one morning and the mentor says, tomorrow's the day you're going to achieve all the greatness that we talked about our whole life. Tomorrow's the day. So that young man, he's all excited and he can't sleep that night. And that morning he gets on a plane with a couple of his other friends and they take that plane and they crash it into a building in New York. So what are we going to teach our children? And who's going to teach them? You know, young people are looking. You know, we got a lot of single parents, a lot of single moms. It's sad, and I got a lot of them in our youth group. And those young men need a mentor. Now, if we're not going to teach them some morals and about life, where are they going to learn it from? They're going to learn it on the streets.
Yep.
They're going to learn it from YouTube. They're going to learn it from the wrong. They could learn it from the wrong thing.
Absolutely.
So.
Well, and psychology teaches us that at the teenage years, they're going to learn from their peers.
From somebody.
More, well, they're going to learn specifically from their peers
Yeah.
more than they are from their parents. And it's simple as that. And so, you know, just as adults involved, you know, again, going back to masonry, being around good men versus
Same
being
thing with
around-
youth.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
see
'cause-
a good young man, all of a sudden change, and I know exactly why. It's who he's hanging around with.
Yeah.
And you know, I tell the parents he needs to be hanging out with us more. He needs to be around this positive influence. You got to get him out from. I don't know what they're teaching him. We don't know what they're teaching him in schools now. We kind of know. We don't like it, and we don't know who his friends are, but we do know what we're teaching them in these youth groups because we can show the parents these are what we're teaching them. Just old principles of being a good son, believe in something, of a supreme being, love your country, be clean, watch what you say, and most of all, is what we're doing here. And the most important principle, all of DMLA, is comradeship. Our logo has 7 stars, and the center one, or the 7 candles, is comradeship. And you know, as somebody who's growing up, and I have that comradeship still, like I was saying about my parents' funeral, of all these people that are still my friends. We still talk, we still giggle about the dumbass things we did. But, you know, we were safe with each other.
Sure.
I never did anything dumbass when I was
Yeah. You know, I believe a lot of laws are because of my era. I look around and go, oh, you can't do that anymore?
No, I won't tell you about my time spent on a ranch, supposedly helping with the cows, but we were more like little terrorists.
Cow
but,
tipping
you know.
is fun.
No, it wasn't cow tipping. We were just little bastards running around. But
There was a reason my mom wouldn't let me kick it with my cousins. I couldn't. She maybe let me sleep over their house once, twice, maybe 3 times my whole life, but it was because she saw where they were headed, and you know they were all hardcore brute towners. I mean, they ended up hardcore brute towners, but one of them has game over on his eyelids, and I mean they're every single one of my cousins. Look, there's a handful of them, 1/3 of them who did make it out the hood, like, and they're doing well for themselves now. But the other 2/3, I mean, we lost some along the way, and you know, even now they're still strung out off and on, and there was a reason she had kept me away from all that. And I mean, you know, although I would still kick it with them, you know, I wasn't allowed to stay the night, but there was still family gatherings and stuff like that. And you know, a lot of my cousins, once I turned 16 and she had less of a rope on me, I would go and kick it with them. So, you know, there's still a lot of ghetto in me, but I would always hear my mom or my dad, like, in the back of my mind saying, you know, don't do this, son, don't do that, son. Like, you know what I
Where
mean?
you came from, it's where you're going.
Yeah.
We all have.
Yeah. But it saved me. It saved me. And then one of the reasons I had joined the Navy was, and I mean, the wife knows this story, but you know, at the time, you know, I was messing around with a lot of girls, you know, and it was what it was, and I started getting death threats on my phone, and it would always play that song by Bone Thugs, Mo Murder. Every night I'd get two calls a night. Mo Murder, like somebody's trying to kill me. And then I got jumped at Coronado Mall. I almost lost my eye. Got jumped by it was me and a good friend of mine, and we got jumped by 9 dudes. And I said, I need to change. I got to get the fuck out of here, dude. Like this is wild. This is not the life I want to lead. So I signed up for the Navy and I deuced it. And before you know it, a few months later, we were right off the coast of Afghanistan running missions, because we're forward deployed. So, and I was an intelligence specialist. So, that putting a 19-year-old in charge of telling pilots what their targets are, I'm like, okay, hit here, here, and here. But it was an eye opener. It was like
So you went from all those girls to all those guys.
we pulled into Thailand quickly afterwards. But yeah, no, it was cool. I mean, it taught me a lot, especially about being on your own and how important that is to truly find yourself, because a lot of folks just don't truly know yourself unless you're on your own.
Been rock bottom.
And being rock bottom. And yeah, and it's when you don't have any family around and you're 3,000 plus miles away from, you're literally halfway across the world, and your mission's so damn secret that you can't even write an email to your family. You can't write a letter to your family because they shut all that down. You're literally on your own, and you're just relying on your shipmates, and it turns into a Groundhog Day, and you're just living the same day over and over and over and over, and it's just like, it really does make you look internally and take accountability for your own actions. You get to think about stuff that 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th grade, where you had made mistakes and stuff you could have went back on. And I mean, any and everything, to when you say, you know what, when and if I get back, because we had plenty of fires on the ship. We had a bunch of stuff that had happened there where, your life is in danger, and you're like, am I coming back? You know what I mean? Am I gonna come back? I really don't know. It's
Your priorities change a little
your
bit.
priorities change a little bit. Yeah, absolutely. So it's like you really start to realize what's important, and you truly find yourself. And you're like, okay, well, I'm going to become better in this way or better in that way. And not to say that that's everybody's journey, but that was mine. It was just you have to figure it out, and there is nobody there but you to figure it out. There is no mom, no dad, no brother, sister, cousin, nothing, because you just have you. So maybe you start going to church more, maybe you start doing this, maybe you start doing that, but you figure it out real quick what you need to do to survive.
And that's what masonry attracts. After every major war, masonry grows.
Yeah.
Because the military men are missing that camaraderie.
Sure.
And that foxhole buddy type mentality, and we feel that purpose for them, just as much as the VFW and all these other things. Mm-hmm. But for somehow, masonry adds a little more of a moralistic, rather than just
Sure.
instead of just talking to each other about all the bad things that have happened. Mm-hmm. You got a more positive route than going to these
absolutely
things. And again, in DMLA, if I can just hit a couple of them, and I have. I mean, I was an advisor in the 80s as a chapter dad, and I come back and I met this one young man, and the dad says, well, he's not going to do much DMLA because he's going to be a doctor someday. I'll be damned. I come back 25 years later, and he's a doctor. Dr. Goff.
Oh, okay,
Yeah, I was
okay.
a chapter dad. In fact, my first meeting back after leaving, 2 of the young men in that chapter, I was chapter dad of their dads.
Wow.
Like 20, 30, 25 years earlier.
Yeah.
And it was like, well, it's kind of like, I think this is where I'm supposed to be.
Yeah.
This is you know, I see their dads and all of a sudden it's like, Leon, you know, got the next generation. You took care of us, take care of our boys. And it was, you know, somehow I'm not an outwardly religious man, but I'll be damned. Things happen to me that I cannot not be religious.
Sure.
I'm at the right place at the right time, or I make a left instead of a right. And I believe that destiny brought me back here to help out with the DeMolays again. And you know, just seeing all these weird little things that happen just like that. Here's two of my DeMolays, both their sons going through, and all these things. And you just cannot not believe. And that's what's so important about Masonry. You got to be a believer of some
Sure.
supreme being, because we don't do this on our own.
Yeah.
I mean, regardless of religion itself, positivity, you know, spirituality has such a good positive impact on the lives of anybody.
Absolutely.
And that's where I think we all benefit from this.
All religions say the same thing in a different way.
It's
I mean, we got
yeah.
karma. What goes around comes around. Reciprocity. You know, we all say the same things. You know, most religions. You know, don't kill, don't cheat on you. You know, don't steal. Just basic morals. And you know, but they're forgotten, I think, nowadays, because we're not teaching them in schools anymore.
No, so true.
And they got to get this type of foundation somewhere, and Scouts is not the same as it used to be. I mean, you notice I didn't say Boy Scouts.
Yeah.
They're no longer around. Scouts.
I loved Scouts when I was a kid.
You would've been a
I was in for a long time. Started as a
now-
Tiger Cub, and
Now they've
went
opened
all
up the
way
girls, and
yeah.
I think, you know, the girls groups, the Girl Scouts are angrier than anybody about it, because they've stolen their market
Yeah.
away.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
But you know, the foundations we do with our youth. I mean, I keep going back to the youth, but that's my job. That's why I have this office, is to promote the youth and promote the guys and the girls, and tell the world and tell the parents, you know, you got this short window with your kids while they're going to listen to you, or somewhat listen to you. You got this, you know, when they're 15 and sometimes 13, they're still dependent on you, and you have this chance to have a whirlwind adventure with them. When I was growing up and I was state master counselor, me and my mom became so close. She traveled with me. She was a chaperone for our state sweetheart, and she was so proud to have young men from all over the state calling her mom. Hi, Mom. Hi, Mom. I mean, she just is, you know, unfortunately, you know, I was her favorite son. I was the only one, but now she had 2,000 sons. I was like, oh my God, I'm sharing my mom. But you know, what we do is so amazing, so important. Every part of Masonry, you know, we got the shrine, we got all these different things we do, and just pick one little thing is kind of hard. And people like us haven't learned the magic word no. And then
By the way, that is the secret, true word of a Master Mason is no.
Yes.
I haven't learned it. Well, I've gotten better. I have gotten better. I have actually dismissed myself from certain offices so I can stay with the
Rinse that out.
the DeMolays.
You're gonna get
But anyway, I don't know where I was wandering with that. But you know, I was go back to
So
DeMolay.
Leon, do me a favor, because we're coming up on 2.5 hours.
No, I was.
Do me a favor, and how can they reach DeMolay so we can wrap this up? But listen, before we do, I want to say thank you to both of you guys. Honest to God, you guys have been great guests. I hope that we come on and we do this 3, 4, 5 more times within the next year, 2, 3 years. You know what I'm saying?
Now I'm embarrassed.
Honestly.
I was embarrassed because I said I was embarrassed because I said, God, these things are long, and then we started talking.
Exactly.
And, it's like,
And that's exactly what I was going to talk
we
about.
just started talking like we're sitting around anywhere, like we're sitting somewhere and talking at a restaurant or at a bar, or you know, adult beverages, and
Talking about, I don't know what you're talking
and-
about.
and,
Averages.
but we
he
just
said.
started talking, and it was
They're so long. And now look.
and we're also passionate.
Yeah, he was one of the ones complaining, man, y'all lives are so
guys are
long.
the
Why's y'all recordings? And now look,
don't know.
2.5 hours.
You
Yeah.
can't shut me up. I'm sorry.
Because the thing
I'm
is,
sorry out there.
yeah,
No.
Yeah, 'cause one of the-
there's no
Next thing
apology.
you're going to tell me is there's skulls in masonry. You know,
There
there's
are.
no skulls in masonry. Oh, my goodness.
There are.
We
Yeah,
are
sorry,
there.
brothers.
That's another
Sorry,
stuff.
brothers,
We
that's
won't
a
go into
different-
skull
that's a
rock.
different thing.
but you know that's one of the things that we're gonna let you talk in a minute. But that's one of the things that people don't realize about this live, because right once you're sitting here, it just goes by pretty fast.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Now, right once you're trying to look at it online, it's like, man, 2.5 hours. That's a long time. Yet, right when you're here
I'm
talking,
embarrassed.
and it's like it just goes by a lot faster because, right, a lot of us aren't used to spending this much time with an individual person.
Especially after COVID.
Yep.
That's what that was my point.
Yeah.
COVID took that all away from us. We used to do this. We used to do this back in the day, whether it's at a bar or sitting down, you visit a neighbor, you know, before you know it, the sun's going down and you're just with the
Yeah,
neighbor having a
yeah.
beer out front. We don't do that anymore at all.
Fire pit.
Yeah.
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 Exactly.
But go ahead and talk about about the
We
demolay.
have a website. It's called beademolay.org. BEADEMOLAY.org, and they will. You just look it up, and you'll find New Mexico and all your mailings and inquiries and things like that will come to me, and petitions and any young man between the ages of 9 and 20 we're looking for. We want to change their lives. We want to help them become better sons, better fathers, better citizens.
Awesome. You want to say anything, John, before we? No.
What?
I think we're
You've
good.
been talking.
Other than
He's
go-
all talked
hey,
out.
Hey, you know what? Go Army, beat Navy, hook 'em horns. You know what? Might as well offend everybody while we're
Packers too, so we can understand this.
Jeff, you got anything?
Oh no, I'm fine. But for me, it's like
Thank you, guys.
this was a great experience. You know, and I'm glad that we actually had this opportunity to come together and just talk. You know,
Absolutely.
and laugh. This is probably one of the most joyful ones that we have done so
Yeah.
far.
Really?
It's
Oh,
been fun,
man.
man.
We just
It's been
talked,
fun,
and
yeah.
it's like, but we would do this anyway without the cameras.
Yeah.
Just sitting around talking anyway.
Yeah.
We
Trust
do-
me, folks, it gets better from here.
Yeah, once the cameras are off, it's like now we can really talk about some things.
Right. Oh my
We
God.
didn't solve any world problems.
right.
I don't think we created any world problems.
You know what? No more world problems are getting solved than that at the local bar. So,
Right. Ain't that the truth?
Yeah, you know what? Making people a better person. That's about it.
Yeah.
And you know what? Truly, again, like I was saying earlier, according to Admiral McRaven, if you can influence 10 people and they can influence 10 people and so on and so forth, you know what? The world's going to be a better place. And that's it. You know what? We're a part of a vast conspiracy to make the world a better place.
Yeah.
That's
well
it.
said.
Yeah.
Well said. But yeah. That yes, sir. We're done here, and everyone have a blessed day.